Episode 12 of the Gaming Memories podcast, where I roboclip the blessed beatmaker, aka Cade, call the gaming gods only true prophet. You guys know the drill. I'm the only guy that can talk to the gods for you, okay? You gotta go through me, which means money and women. Bring it in, baby. Bring it in. But look, what they told me, Miyamoto the Father, Kojima the Son, and Carmack the Holy Ghost, is that I was to create the greatest gaming podcast on planet Earth simply by interviewing creative and interesting people about their favorite gaming memories growing up. And today's episode of the podcast, if you are a fan of the bass music and the people who make the bass music, aka bass music producers, we have another prolific producer on the podcast today. It is Durandal, baby, aka Steve Phillips. Dude has been making some dank-ass dubstep for as long as I can remember. The man loves the darkness, the depths, the deep, the fear, the loathing, the pain and anger. He channels all of that into some really badass bass music. He's also a record label founder, works heavily with Åbysmal Ẹntities, record label or collective, you could say, is out of Denver, Colorado. And then there is another SLC collective of bass music producers, Subswarm. So on top of producing for Durandal, he's heavily involved in also pushing forth marketing and creating communities around people who love the bass music. So if you like the bass, if you like to shake, if you like to vibrate, if you like to feel the beat in your bones, Durandal is your man. But on top of that, like most electronic music producers, I've talked about this in the past, he loves to play the video games. And we recorded this episode on location at his house with the backdrop of his giant ass game collection. Now, originally we were going to have video. I started doing video, but look, video takes up a lot of time, and the gaming kingdom of God has a lot of shit that needs to be done. And so I decided to axe video for now. But you may be thinking, well, a prophet is supposed to, you can't change. A prophet said there's going to be video. Look, it's not a change in doctrine. It's not a change in what is true about the gaming gospel. It's just a change in policy. There's a difference, kids. I'm still a prophet, still need your money, still need your women. But video is on hold for now. I do want to mention, for this episode, we didn't have mic stands. In the most video game sort of MacGyver, off-the-cuff, just winging it sort of way, we created a video game mic stand built out of multiple consoles with a demon from Doom. I think it's called the Cockra Demon, the big blob guy that floats with the horns. Well, we use those horns to do a cross-X pattern on two mics, and that's how we recorded this episode. So, if it feels extra dirty and dark, that's because the power of the demons has been channeled into the recording. But fear not, because the gaming gods have blessed me, and I will protect you from any evil influence through my holy divine calling as you listen. So listen with absolute no fear, because I will be protecting you by the gaming gods' powers. Oh shit, now I'm just rambling. Should I cut this or should I leave it in? I don't know. I've been kind of lazy with these intros lately just because who gives a fuck? That's kind of fun. Anyway, Durandal's a badass. We had a great time talking. No surprise here. He loves making dark music, loves dark-ass video games, horror, survival horror, all that shit. So we get into Resident Evil, Condemned, so on and so forth, Dead Space, etc. That's what we nerd about. He has a lot of retro games. He does an awesome gaming night at his house. Like every month, people come in. Oh, he's also, not to mention, dude is game changer at Puzzle Fighter. I don't know if any of you guys have played Puzzle Fighter. I think it's cooler than Tetris and all the other puzzle games. It's basically Street Fighter mixed with like Luminous and Tetris. And I thought I was pretty good at Puzzle Fighter. I went over to one of his game nights, which was a Puzzle Fighter night, thinking I was going to win a bunch of money. And he basically performed nothing short of a prison rape on me. So there are levels to this shit, and Steve is extra next level when it comes to Puzzle Fighter. I had a fantastic time talking to him. Make sure to check his music out. I will put all the applicable links in the podcast description, in the bio. Durandal Music, Åbysmal Ẹntities, Subswarm Collective, SLC, Bass Music Extraordinaire. Also, don't forget to share the good news of the Gaming Memories Gospels, because the gaming gods will bless you with so many blessings. heaven will open, and as you know the drill, there'll be not enough room for you to receive it because the blessings will come pouring down like the salmon of Capistrano. Do your duty, share the good news of the gaming memory gospel, do your missionary work. I say these things in the name of the Father, Kojima. Actually, Miyamoto's the father. I should get my shit straight. Miyamoto the father, Kojima the son, Carmack the Holy Ghost. Amen. Enjoy the show.
Yodelay-hoo.
Did you get Dreamcast when it launched?
No.
Oh.
I actually got a Dreamcast only a year ago. I mean, I went to the game store and I had a bunch of extra stuff like N64 controllers and all that. And I made a deal with them if I traded them all that stuff, they'd hook me up with the Dreamcast and controllers. And I was like, okay.
Sweet.
So, yeah, it was like $80 value, and I just traded a bunch of extra stuff I had. Worked out well.
It was an interesting console. It only it's like besides the Wii U and now the Wii and now the Switch. Before the Wii, it was the strongest launch of any console, fastest selling console in the first year of production. But they ceased production by year 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say when it was
crazy
announced, I remember everyone was going apeshit for a minute, and then
it just died.
Yeah,
Sega was like, "We're done."
Which is such a bummer.
I got it later. I'm sure I'll talk about the pot, but I got it later. Basically, just look at porn. We had no internet, and it was like I had internet connection, and so I bought it.
Oh yeah, it has the dial-up.
Yeah, it had the dial-up, and has its own little shitty browser in the OS, and we weren't allowed to have internet because my dad got Netscape like way back in the day.
Netscape Navigator.
and the first thing I did was try to look up boobs. I didn't know anything about
boobs.
I just typed it in. He saw it on the search history. Got rid of the internet like 2 days later. It's like I know exactly.
That's so funny. Just boobs.
I didn't know what else.
Hey, I was putting boobs on the calculator before.
Yeah.
Before internet was even around.
So the Dreamcast was my 56K dial-up porn machine in high school. Welcome to the Gaming Memories podcast here on location.
On location.
At Durandal, Steve's house, because he has this awesome video game collection.
It's getting better. And
we have this video game mic stand comprised of a Nintendo, a Dreamcast. What's this demon called? I forget. The one-eyed demon?
I want to say Cockademon, but I don't know.
I think it is a cock. You should know.
I should know this. I mean, I'm fucking nerding hard, but...
It's the same one on your shirt.
I know. I know.
I think you're right. It's something
I think it's like a Cockademon, but I think that's a weird name.
Anyway, his horns are controlling our mics because we don't have mic stands, but it turned out really, really great, and I'm super excited. This is Durandal. I'll do introductions before the episode, and we'll have links to your music and stuff, but he makes really dope music. And he's also in the video games, as you can see. So that's why he's here on the podcast.
This works out well.
Tell people a little bit about your music.
Let's see. All right. Well, it's dubstep.
It's dubstep.
Let's just say it's like dubstep.
But it's more like
heavy.
UK.
It's like heavy and dark. I don't know. I honestly, it's very Doom inspired, which is kind of a. I don't know. I don't know if that's like a weird thing to say, but I don't know. I'm a huge fan of that style. I love just like angry but also like deep and heavy, eerie. So
you like the darkness.
Yeah, the dark.
Like
bring the dark. Yes.
I remember one of your EPs. The cover art had like a stairwell with like a demon poking out. Kind of looked like a Doom demon, I guess. It would have been an older EP. It would have been.
Oh yeah, that was a long time ago. That one was fun. That was what the hell was it called? I don't even remember what it's called. Holy shit. What the hell was it called?
Anyway. So you make too much music. You can't remember the...
It was an old one. And
how many albums do you have? Or EPs total?
So, I don't know, like 7 or 8, maybe.
And for people trying to get an idea of what kind of music you make, who would be... If you could name like the top 5 producers that you get a boner over, that also influence you, who would it be?
That's a tough one. That's also a tough one. I have a lot of respect for a ton of producers in general, and I can't say that I would love everyone or love one more than the other or something like that. I don't know.
Who you geeking out on lately? The most recent guy or girl. Sorry, girls can make music too.
It's tough. It's tough to put me on the spot like that. I would say Distance is definitely one of them.
Okay.
If you've heard of Distance, is just mean and heavy and dark and is awesome. Obviously, the Whittler, he also taps into that genre a lot, which I love. When he wants to make dark stuff, he makes it very proper. Funk Mod, of course, just because he's my homie and like we see eye to eye on all the music. I feel like, man, I can't. I think as we talk, I'll probably
Have you heard
come up
of a
with
guy
more.
named Author and Punisher?
Author? Oh, I know Author. Yeah, like
There's,
old school.
that's something. He's like
old school. Like
he makes like what I call it, like 9 Inch Nails, industrial screamo, techno kind of. Like it seems like
it sounds interesting.
Yeah, and aesthetically, he has like this giant DIY rig where he machines. Has this controller. It's like an arm thing. He puts it in his arm, and he can pull the. It's like a airplane trigger for the kick, and then he swings it back and hits another point for the snare. And then as he has these metal things that roll over a grid for hi-hats, and then he wears like this collar, like a BSDM, almost like sexual collar, but it has all these different mics with different effects, and he'll record like the growl of his throat. He has like the crazy, and he actually hand makes all of these. They're essentially MIDI controllers, but they're all made out of like real metal, and it's like machines with gears, and they have different points that he just triggers drum samples with. This is like a really elaborate.
I want to see this. Like this, you've piqued my interest.
You should.
It sounds really
I think
cool.
you'd like him. It's like a really elaborate, evil steampunk MIDI controller.
Okay, all right. I mean, like as it moves, like you're saying, like as it moves.
So
like
he does the drums with one hand, then he has all these other things with another hand, and then he sings, and it's very. The closest I could say to it is like a tech. I don't know, like 4 on the floor, heavy 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff.
Okay.
Anyway, I think if you guys I think everyone should check him out, at least for his live setup alone.
Like that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Who was it?
Author and Punisher.
I
thought for sure you'd know. I'll take credit.
I was so confused.
If you love him, I get the credit. I introduced you.
Okay, I'm down. I'm down. All right, I'm down with that. I'll probably message you later and be like, "This is the best shit ever," or something. I'm hoping.
The live setup and show is cooler than just the music by itself. I don't listen to his music necessarily on repeat, but I will throw up like YouTube of live performances and put it in the background because it's really the whole aesthetic, the whole visual is awesome.
I mean, that's kind of what makes it, especially for that kind of music. I feel like it's the show you're putting on.
Yeah.
Is really like, because I mean, think about it. You have like this whole setup, and you're like doing a lot. That is entertainment, like that's what people want to see.
He has this big pitch bend that's like really, really long, and the way he explained it, Red Bull Music Academy did a 20-minute YouTube documentary on him, and he was talking about the pitch bend, and he made a good point. Normal pitch bends will go like at either an octave or 2 octaves, but you don't have that much resolution because it's just like a tiny little thing, so it's hard to get like those in-between notes. All those like really weird dissonance in between one black key and one white key. Mm-hmm. There's like a little bend in there, so he basically mapped a regular pitch bend to this really long. You know those things in doctors' offices kids play with, where you move the shapes along the rails.
Like those roller coaster things.
The roller coaster things.
Oh shit! I had one of those.
Yeah, those are those are best.
Yeah.
Well, he has basically one of those, and he can move it, and it's like 2 octaves, but it's spread on, so he can move like in between notes, get these really weird. It's almost too dissonant and too eerie, but if you're into that eerie darkness...
I don't know if it could be too dissonant and eerie.
That's what I was going to say.
I fucking love that.
Yeah,
that's my jam. I mean, when you were talking about it, I like this guy. He doesn't make music anymore, but Pain Station. He's like a more dark and evil 9 Inch Nails. You know what I mean? Like,
how do you be more dark and evil than 9 Inch Nails?
Pain Station, man.
Really?
Yes. It's insanely scary, but awesome.
That does sound like Pain Station.
Yeah.
You play a game called Painkiller, an FPS.
Sounds familiar. Painkiller.
You are in the PC game. We went over this.
Some PC game.
PC gaming. Yeah, it's like a '90s PC game where you play as a dude who has been resurrected from hell by heaven to murder hell.
What?
to get your soul back and save your wife or something.
This is right on my alley.
And
Why
you fight a bunch of demons.
Dude, you're introducing
That's
me
why
to
I thought you.
Yeah, all right. So now I'm excited.
Painkiller.
About this.
Yeah.
Is cool. Okay.
It's not a AAA title. There's like 4 or 5 of them. They're kind of like indie first-person shooters, and they're more Twitch-based, like Quake. Really fast. Really.
I love Quake.
Okay. Yeah.
Come on, dude.
You like Painkiller.
All right. I'm gonna be down. I think I'm gonna be down with this.
So I know you like Doom, and as I know Doom's your favorite game. I know that we talked earlier that your first console was the NES, right?
Yes.
And so was the very first game you ever got exposed to an NES game, or were you exposed to anything prior to that?
I would say, yeah, I think just Super Mario Brothers. I think Super Mario and like Track Meet, you know, when you run on the pad.
The pad,
yeah. The Duck Hunt. I think that was like, because I remember my dad getting it for me when I was, I was like 4 or 5, I think. And it's actually this console right here.
It's this exact one.
That's the one
You've
he got.
kept it.
I've kept it.
This is the OG.
That's the original.
Durandal
That's
NES.
the one right there.
Does it still work?
Yeah, it still works.
Badass.
I know, right?
That's actually really cool. Wow. So this was probably manufactured in like 86, 85. It's still working.
Yeah. And yeah, everything is original. And I mean, you want to swap out like the little chipset in it so it reads the games better, but I haven't done that just because I don't play it as much as I used to. But
when you play NES games, are you doing emulators mainly, or do you actually bust this out and play?
I do the Hyperkin.
Oh yeah.
So I have the Hyperkin that plays all my shit, and then I keep that downstairs so when we have like parties and stuff. We can all play that, and I keep all my nice stuff upstairs here and kind of like in the collector area. I want my pride and joy over here.
Yeah, I know. So for those you don't know, I've known Steve for a long time because of music. He's also talked some big shit on Puzzle Fighter. And I had one stint on Puzzle Fighter as a kid, just the demo disc.
Dude, I have the demo disc still around here somewhere.
Yes.
It's around there.
Yeah, so I had the demo disc, and you could play 2 characters, I believe, on the demo disc.
It's like Ryu and Ken, I think.
It's either Ryu and Ken or Ryu and Chun-Li. It's a girl. It might be a girl.
Yeah.
Anyway, I played like 2 friends that played it, and I was like, I'm pretty fucking good at Puzzle Fighter. Then I came over to your game night, and I realized there's some levels to this Puzzle Fighter shit.
Dude, Puzzle Fighter is just...
You were insanely good at Puzzle Fighter.
I don't know about insanely good, I mean, but I have some friends, though, we used to play, like, all we did was play Puzzle Fighter. Like, we would drink beer and see how badly we could fuck each other up in Puzzle Fighter. And we did that probably like 4 or 5 nights a week. Just, hey, come over, let's play Puzzle Fighter. All right, cool. And one of the guys who did it lived with me at the time, so we would practice together all the time.
Yeah.
We just grill steaks, and then we would drink a ton of beer, and just like, all right, Puzzle Fighter time, let's do this. So, but yeah, what leveled up with Puzzle Fighter though, in my opinion, was when it came out on the Xbox. Because when it came out on the Xbox, you can drop fast. Like you can just drop these pieces super fast.
Did the game run faster?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I wouldn't say the game itself ran faster, but like the gameplay would definitely go faster because like you would drop pieces really quickly and then build your crystals and destroy them. And so that's when that came out. That feature came out. I was just like hooked.
So the PS1 didn't have the quick drop functionality.
Right. Yeah. The old ones
I didn't know that.
I even have it for Game Boy, and that one still doesn't have it. Like the Game Boy Advance version doesn't have it. So
I didn't even know there was a Game Boy Advance Puzzle Fighter.
I got it. It's over there. Oh wait.
He's got that. He has everything.
It's one of my favorite games. Like I feel like when I have a favorite game, I kind of try and like collect
all the versions,
console versions, of all the platforms. So.
Did you play Tetris on the NES? Is that?
Oh yeah, totally.
Okay, so you got into puzzle games as a kid.
Yeah. I remember I had the original Game Boy, which I don't have anymore. I'm kind of disappointed about. But I had the original Game Boy with Tetris, and then when the Game Boy Color came out, I sold it, got the Game Boy Color, and bought the new version of Tetris, like the color version, and then I played that just over and over and over.
Apparently supposed to talk quieter, which is impossible
louder,
because I'm deaf. Cheers to that. Here, drink a little bit more, talk louder.
Oh, come on.
We can give it some compression. We'll just throw a glue compressor on there, smash the fuck out of it.
Gluten compressor?
The glue compressor.
Okay, alright.
That's my cheating tool in Ableton. Just throw a glue compressor on it, smash it.
Yeah, alright.
Yeah, glue compressor, everything.
Thirsty.
everything. So when you had the NES, out of that first batch of games, most people have brought up Mario, Duck Hunt, Track and Field. It's pretty common for our age group. Just out of that first era of playing NES games, which game obsessed you the first? Or did you even, or you were kind of just playing for fun? You weren't really full on into gaming?
I was playing for fun, but then I started realizing with Super Mario, there's like multiple worlds, and then you get more and more, you level, and I mean, it's just like, there's so much more to it than just this one little, and I mean, it's obviously just a side-scrolling game where you're just jumping, but to kind of have it like get crazier and crazier, and then as a kid, like have it get kind of like almost darker and darker when you go down to like get Bowser and stuff, and like you're in like the dungeon area, and that like was really fascinating to me.
So you liked the darkness early on?
Oh yeah, it was a weird. I don't know why.
I wonder what that is. I've always liked it too. I definitely thought. I think it's level 2 on the original Mario or World 2.
Oh, when you go down.
The cavern. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I always thought that was cooler than the opening levels. Mario 3 had some cool. I'm trying to remember Mario World because they actually had the overworld maps.
Yes.
There wasn't really a dark overworld minus the end one was like a bunch of battleships. Or something
yeah, there's
like
all
that.
the battleships and like the hands that grab you.
Yeah.
Those are cool. Yeah. That was definitely like another thing for me. Mario 3 was a huge game for me too. When that came out, I was like, what the hell? Like this is cool. So, and then I just remember playing it over and over and over at like friends' house because I never had it. Like we kind of didn't buy consoles after that. I feel like there was no. My dad was always buying them, but there was from. Actually, no, I take it back. I take it all back.
Okay.
No, I remember my dad did buy me a Sega, so I'm taking that back. Which is right there. I have that Sega.
So you also have the original Sega.
Yeah.
Nice.
Totally.
So you went NES to Sega, not to Super? Or
I didn't go
both?
Super. I didn't get Super until high school or junior high. I didn't get Super until junior high.
You were the first guest I was a Sega kid, and you're number 15, I think episode 15. I don't know if it'll be uploaded as 15, but no one's had a Sega. They've all been Super kids.
Really?
So I've never been able to geek out on any Sega games.
That's crazy. Like, Sega, to me, was like a I don't know, it was a big thing. Everyone had, well, not everyone, but a lot of people in my neighborhood were like, oh, let's play Sega. Let's play, Streets of Rage. Let's go play Streets of Rage.
Streets of Rage.
Yeah, let's play Streets of Rage, So, I don't know. Like, Sega was a big thing.
Sega was huge, yeah. I think it came out in the States before Super Nintendo.
It might have.
I think it came out.
I think it did.
I think they had a head start.
I went to Costco with my dad. And
there was Costco back then?
Yeah, well, it was Price Club. It was called Price Club.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Was it the same one by the mall?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, Price Club. It was weird. It was like it was like a brown building, I think. It was weird. It looked like a UPS building. Like, what the fuck? What? Send us some package. It was weird. But yeah, I remember, and they would have them like it was on display. They had it like on display, and then they had like here's your package deal. Here's the console, and it comes with a couple games and a controller, And he was like, should we get this? Like, do you want to get this? I'm over here like,
duh.
Yeah.
No, Dad.
Let's just do it. Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, hell yeah, Dad. Let's get Sonic the Hedgehog. But yeah, it was, definitely Sega was a huge thing for me, I would say. But the funny thing is, I didn't get the 32X until after. Well, actually,
until recently. You just said.
Just recently, like 6 months ago.
Dang. So before you did you keep playing your Nintendo? Because I noticed you have a pretty. Where was I looking at Nintendo games? Yeah. I was looking at your Nintendo games. One that I wanted to ask, so how many of these did you get as a kid, and how many of them did you actually play as a kid, and how many of them did you get later?
I actually still have the same Super Mario game from when I was a kid. There's an old, Disney adventure game that I've had since I was a kid. RC Pro-Am.
Yes.
Definitely,
as a kid?
I was 8. No, I was 9 or 10. And my friend had it. And he brought it over, and we were playing it. I'm just, what the hell? This is a cool game, And so I remember I went and bought it, just a couple months after I saved my lawn mowing money and went and got it or something. But I don't know. I can't remember.
You had the original Turtles, which was.
Oh yeah,
that game. Fuck that game. With utmost respect, fuck that game. Everyone always talks about. I don't remember the dam level, swimming through the electric seaweed.
Yeah, It's almost impossible in my opinion. I don't know. There's people that are hardcore gamers about that kind of.
They love that.
They love,
they get off on it.
that wasn't my jam as much. Like, I liked it, but I don't know.
What game on NES did you put the most hours into? Was it Mario?
Mario and Zelda. I definitely played a lot of Zelda. Mega Man, though. That one's tough. And actually, I just recently got my Mega Man collection. But I played that a lot when I was a kid, and I wasn't very good at it. And then now, as an adult, still not very good at it. But it's the nostalgia that keeps me going. I'm like, you know what?
Most kids, the only person that's part of Mega Man was Audio Treats.
I know, you mentioned that. I was listening to the podcast, and that's funny. Like, when he was talking about Mega Man, I'm like, I feel you, brother. I feel you.
Mega Man X was hard. I did play Mega Man on the Nintendo and Mega Man 2. I think, so hardcore Mega Man fans, from what I understand, Mega Man 2 is allotted as like the best OG Mega Man. They were too hard for me as a kid.
Yeah.
That was just too hard. That and I love Castlevania later in life. But, damn, there's whiskey. Woo! Castlevania later was awesome. Castlevania on the original Nintendo. Did you play that at all?
No, actually, I didn't.
Bullshit. Don't play it. It's
but
bullshit.
as a collector, I'm definitely gonna probably get it. You know,
that is. I mean, it's a classic franchise. Yeah, and you got so many. You got Super Glove Ball. I had a friend that had that. Is that Skate or Die?
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Skate or Die.
And Heavy
was
Shredding.
awesome.
If you ever played Heavy Shredding, which is like the snowboard version, I feel like, of Skate or Die. But
I've never even heard of that. There's a snowboard game on NES.
Heavy Shredding.
Really?
Or it's just called Shredding. It probably isn't heavy.
Shredding?
I'm thinking like Heavy Shredding. I think it's just called Shredding. You know, it's right here. Let's just look at it.
Could grab that.
Might as well look at it. It's this pink one.
Bright pink?
Yeah, it is Heavy Shredding. That's right. Okay.
Oh, badass. I haven't... Look at this 80s... For those... Look at this 80s cover art. This is badass. Heavy Shredding, the snowboarding video game.
Does it actually
Parker
say
Brothers.
the snowboarding video game?
Yeah, the snowboarding video game.
Just in case you didn't know, it was the...
Damn, that is
the snowboard
badass.
video
I had
game.
no idea.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's been a lot of these games I've had since, I don't know, Three Stooges. I had that one as a kid.
I did not know there was a Three Stooges video game.
Yeah.
River City Ransom, I do remember that game.
River City Ransom, that is a great game. One of the best Nintendo games. And I actually just recently got it. So, like, playing it the other day with Dee, like, we're like, damn, this game's actually really fun for an old Nintendo game. This is sweet.
Yeah, it was like, isn't it, if I remember correctly, it's like a Double Dragon beat 'em up.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah,
it's a beat 'em up, and it's like Streets of Rage, but for Nintendo.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I get River City Ransom and Bad Dudes mixed up in my mind.
It's very similar.
Very similar to Bad Dudes. Yeah.
The cool
and Double
part,
Dragon,
though,
they're all...
And Double Dragon, definitely.
Did you beat Zelda as a kid?
Actually, you know what? I don't think I did. I'm
glad. Now I don't feel stupid.
I know, like
because that game,
it's almost embarrassing to say, but
I could not beat it as a kid. No. Yeah, I would get to... I could find my way to the first dungeon and get the boomerang and the first piece of the Triforce, and then I never figured out what to do after that. I would just like wander around, and I could memorize like, oh, I know where this one dungeon is, and I just never. And I remember my brother beat it and made fun of me for being stupid and blah 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 blah. Which
that's what brothers.
He had like
that's what brothers.
6 years on me. Number one, yeah. But he said something along the lines of, which I brought this up in a past episode. I haven't Googled it yet. But I think the original Zelda, you have to beat multiple times to get the true ending, and it remixes some of the dungeons. Have you heard that before? Or am I just talking out my ass?
I have no idea. I don't know. I've not heard that.
I think you have to beat it multiple times.
So wait, you beat the original Zelda.
Like the original Legend of Zelda Overhead. Not the second one where it's like side-scroller on NES. The first one, you go through and you beat all the dungeons, you get all the Triforce. And I think that in order to...
You can't reset the game, though, because then it would reset everything. So
no, you don't. You
have
have save files. It's one of the first NES games that has save files.
That's a good point. Yeah, I forgot about the save file.
And I think that you play it... He told me, again, this is just something my mean fucking older brother would tell me. I love him. Love you, Joey. He said that you had to beat it 7 times to get like the real ending. And that's one of those things I heard as a kid that I don't know
if I've heard that.
He could be bullshitting.
He probably could have been bullshitting.
He probably was. I mean, they do that.
It's at this point we need D. D, will you please Google this for us?
Hey, while you're back there,
yeah,
it's like he's like the young Jamie of the Rogan podcast.
Oh, that's right.
Except we can't see him. Hey, Jamie, pull that shit up.
Yeah, Jamie, pull that shit up.
Fuck you.
Fair enough.
It's probably bullshit, but
It sounds.
Either way, I couldn't beat that game.
Wait, what am I looking up though?
No, you don't have to look it up.
I mean,
you can if you want
can.
to.
It might make it interesting.
I'm not going to be angry if you look it up.
So,
I mean, I'm alright here.
Never mind. We'll come back to this.
Alright.
We'll come back to this.
You just man the fort.
Alright, I will be.
Do you need some scotch?
I'm good.
All right.
You're welcome to
You
more
let me
of my
know
scotch
because
too.
I kind of like have the thing sitting here.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, it's just
I
chilling.
might try.
Introducing D,
Wait.
by the way. D is our technician for this podcast on location.
D, aka Tripwreck, my roommate.
Oh, you produced
He
too,
also
yeah.
produces amazing music.
Okay, well, I'll put
great guys.
both of your guys' info in the podcast.
D's also like my personal sound guy. Like if I could take him to shows all over the country, I'd be like, I need that guy. He's with me all the time.
Do you make Dirty Dog Dubstep as well?
I have a few tracks. I
Trip
just
wreck.
do like all of the soundy stuff, and then I usually make like weird trippy shit or like halftime bangers.
He's got some great tunes, dude. He's also remixed one of mine, which is one of my favorites by him. I don't want to be like egotistical or anything, but
No,
I think
that
it's
was-
a great remix.
No, that was the best thing I've ever.
But no one's
done in my
remixed
life.
it, and he's the only person that did, and I
I'm
love it.
Fuck, how did I do that?
I don't know, dude. You've been killing it. All your new tunes, I love them.
Shout out to D. If this podcast sounds good, he's the one that figured out our jerry rig here on the console.
What? No,
mic
that was
stand.
me.
But that was
That
you.
was me.
You did get the dude.
But he is the sound guy doing all the stuff.
I mean, fuck this room.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a living room.
Yeah, no, like 500 and 1,000 hertz. It's just like super peaky. Everything else is room.
Well, if it ends up sounding good, it's because he's got a nice gate on it, and this has been fun. I kind of want to maybe do some. If anyone else has a collection, I think I might just go to their house.
It's worth it because
Yeah,
you
I
can
think it's
actually
worth
sit,
it.
you can talk about them.
Yeah,
like,
because we can look at. I mean, this is insane. How many? I don't even know.
It's not.
I'm
It's not
overwhelmed.
even that insane. Like this is a noob collection compared to like.
Yeah, there's some
the people
shit on
that are, like, the
Instagram.
people that have like serious
Yes.
collections are just. I'm jealous.
There's
I'm
some
jealous.
people out. There's levels to collections,
Yes.
like there's levels to Puzzle Fighter.
That's true. Yeah, and the thing is a lot of these, I would honestly, I'll just go to like garage sales and try and pick them up there and stuff. And my girlfriend's always looking out for me at the garage sales. She's always, oh, look what I found.
So she sees something cool.
Oh yeah, she's like, oh, look what I found. I'm like, buy them all. Anything that you see vintage game, like just grab them. Whatever it is, doesn't matter.
So this collection is going to get bigger
Oh yeah,
over time.
yeah.
I'm glad that you kept it. I had I only got into collecting. So PS1 was my glory days. I mean, I played Genesis and Super Nintendo, and but the PS1 is when I was started. I think I was like
PS1
11,
is a good console.
and then I was working. I started working in the summers, construction, like doing fences and fucking digging ditches for sprinkler systems. I get like $100 a week for like 80 hours of work, but for $100 for like a 12-year-old kid. And that's when I first started being able to buy
a
games.
12-year-old kid with $100 in
That's
his pocket.
a lot of money. That's
Dude,
a game.
You're like ready.
I could buy a game a week.
You could buy,
Yeah, I could buy a game a week. So my PS1 collection was amazing, and I hit some rough times. I needed like money for a car payment or something after I was like 2 or 3 years into marriage, and I sold my collection. I got like $1,200.
This is the thing, though, is you should have hit me up first.
I should have what?
You should have hit me up first.
Oh, that's true.
You've been like,
I don't know.
take
If, I knew
I'll take
you. I knew who you were, but I didn't think I knew you collected games.
Yeah, that's true.
I didn't really
wasn't
know
like-
until I came over to the Puzzle Fighter.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
I went to there's a shop on State Street next to there's a 7-Eleven on 4th South, and there's like a little Mexican restaurant next to it, and there was a used game shop that opened up, and they were only open for like 6 months, and they were right by my house, so I'd go hang out there because it was just they had dope shit all the time. And I got talking to the guy. I'm like, I have this really awesome PS1 collection, but if I'm going to sell it, I'm going to sell the whole thing, and like I know some of the games are worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
And he called his brother, who was the owner, and I brought my collection over, and we went back and forth, and they ended up paying me, I think it was like just shy of $1,300, like $1,200 something dollars. And
Still pretty impressive. That's
for
impressive.
for a game collection, they gave me really fair prices because
That's
I would
great.
be like on eBay, this Black Label Final Fantasy VII. That's like I had one Final Fantasy VII, had 3 Final Fantasy VII Black Labels, and 1 Greatest Hits this will be a funny gaming story. Did you grow up Mormon?
Yes.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so yeah, I grew up Mormon, And
reluctantly, I have to say yes.
Yes. Anyway, we could go off on the tangent on that. But when I was in like 12 or 13, my Final Fantasy would get like it was slightly scratched and would get stuck on a specific cutscene.
Oh, really?
And it would like freeze, and I couldn't get the game. I couldn't proceed further in the game. And I remember like praying, like telling God, if you fix my dear God, if you fix my Final Fantasy CD disc, I will read like 3 hours of scriptures a night. I won't masturbate. Blah blah blah.
I'll try not to masturbate.
I'll try not to masturbate.
I can't promise.
Anyway, needless to say, my prayers were never answered. So
that is so great, dude. I lost a watch when I was a kid, and I did the same thing.
Really?
I was like, please let me find my. It was like a Victorinox watch or a Swiss Army watch. I'm like, this is my favorite watch. I gotta have it back. Like, come on.
I'll do anything.
Yeah, I'll fucking do anything. And then it was like years later. Then I found it in like an old box somewhere or something. Like just it was fun.
Yeah. My shit wasn't answered, so I ended up buying the game again in order to complete it. So I had a second version, and then I lost my collection in storage for a while. So I bought the game a third time, and then I bought it Greatest Hits because it was cheap somewhere. So I ended up I had two. I had one that I never opened. I had one Black Label Final Fantasy VII that was still in the shrink wrapping, and I think they gave me like $180 for it. Or
those
they gave me good prices.
Like, still in original wrapping is huge. Like that's a big deal.
And so I got a lot of money, but man,
I know you're probably kicking yourself a little bit. Like,
I feel like a sort of almost like when you break up with someone and you have that like hole in your heart.
It passes. Yeah, it passes.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me too much now. But if any of you are out there and you have a collection and you need money, do something else. Like I would, if you sold this, I would be sad. I would this.
Probably be pretty devastated, to be honest. You know what's funny though is my friend has a collection. I was just thinking about it, and we should probably like someday talk to my buddy who has like.
We'll link it up. Yeah,
we gotta talk to him about it. Like he would be the man to interview when it comes to like old school games and like having it on. He doesn't have it on display, but he has like just so many. Like he has a room in his house dedicated to his games, and they're all insured. That's how much
they're all insured.
Yes, because he has the original 2 copies, of everything.
Oh wow,
ridiculous.
He's deep in the pain.
Oh yeah.
Where does he live?
Oh, just over. Utah? Yeah, Pleasant Grove. Yeah, we should probably talk to him.
Yeah, we should link that up because this is badass. So you went from NES to Genesis. We kind of went over NES. Where's all your Genesis games at?
These ones right here.
Okay, so we talked about Streets of Rage. I have a good story about Streets of Rage. I told it a couple times, but I don't know if, because you grew up Mormon, maybe your parents were similar. When the ESRB rating system came out, my parents jumped on that bandwagon. They were like early adopters because they were always like stressing about like games don't have ratings. We're not supposed to watch rated R. For those of you who don't know, Mormons aren't supposed to watch rated R movies, and they have kind of like guidelines for the media you're supposed to consume. But back in the day, there wasn't ratings for games. And then I remember I don't remember the exact time the ESRB rating system came out, but I remember going to a Macy's had like a little mini video rental store in it, and they had Streets of Rage 3 had just come out. And I already owned Streets of Rage 1 and 2, and they weren't rated at that time.
Right. It
depends on how old it is. If the ratings on it,
1 and 2 on here, but
it shouldn't have a rating on it if my memory's correct.
No rating.
No rating, yeah.
Streets of Rage. Oh yeah, that's the original.
No rating.
1 and 2, yeah, no. And then 3 is actually one I want to get.
So Streets of Rage 3, at least by the time that I saw it at the video store, the rating system had come out, and it was rated T for teen, and I was 12. I wasn't 13. My parents wouldn't let me rent it.
Just for the 1 year.
Just for the 1 year.
You don't understand the violence here.
Yes. And they didn't know anything about like I tried to convince them like, this is shitty graphics, and you're just like playing a kid in roller skates. Who like none of this isn't realistic at all, but they were like by the book. This is the rule, and my mistake was I tried to rationalize with them. Well, like I already own the first.
Yeah,
two
I know.
games.
That's what kids say. Well, you've already got me the other one.
You already got the 2 games.
And then every parent's like, wait a minute.
Exactly.
Yeah, that happened.
And they fucking took my games away.
That's happened to me, I feel like. With music especially.
Music, I can see.
Music
Since you were into the darkness, growing up Mormon, I could see your parents being like, wait, what are you listening to? What is this?
Wait, we bought you what CD?
What CD is this?
Like, oh no.
Is this a parental advisory sticker?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Streets of Rage 3 came out, and I ended up getting Streets of Rage 1 and 2 taken away after, because I made this big hissy fit that I wanted to rent Streets of Rage 3. They were like, well, you're throwing a fucking tantrum. They wouldn't say fucking, but they were angry, and then the whole thing, and they took the 2 games away. So I ended up beating Streets of Rage 3 on an emulator years later as like a spite.
Yeah.
I still played it. Yeah. I still beat it.
Fuck you, parents. I'm going to beat this game because of you guys.
But you have I did not know there's a Where's Waldo Genesis game.
That's one of the original games that came with my Sega.
So it's like an early launch title then?
Yeah,
probably?
So I kept that one. Like, that's when my dad got me the Sega. That was one that came with it, and then I think Sonic the Hedgehog. So that was definitely...
How does Where's Waldo play? Is it just like you...
Yeah, it's stupid. So it's just like... It's like the book, when you look at the book, and you're looking at the pages. So you use the controller... and it's a magnifying glass, and you like move it all around, and then when you find it, you click on them.
You click on it.
Yeah, and it's
pretty simple.
Basic.
Shadowrun is a franchise on PC that I'm aware of. Is it the same franchise on the Genesis?
I think
What kind of game is that?
It is. What is it?
Is it like an isometric top-down strategy game?
Yeah.
Okay,
it's a lot like that. Yeah,
it might be the same franchise. I didn't know there was a Shadowrun on Genesis.
I got the Shadowrun game for Genesis because my buddy was selling it, and he was like, "It's a rare game. You should probably get it." And I'm like, "All right." He talked me into it.
Is it like cyberpunk sci-fi?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Then it's the same series.
Totally. And so, and then I played it, and I'm like, "This game is actually really, really awesome." So I'm all for that game. I think it's a great game.
Mutant Football League. Yeah. Oh my God! I would have never even remembered that game.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Mutant Football.
That is amazing. So that was like before. So there was this series in like the '90s arcade where you had NBA Jam, NFL Blitz, Wayne Gretzky's Hockey on 64, like the arcade sports. But I remember Mutant Football League being the first like arcadey sports game. It's football, and you can like rip each other apart, decapitate each other.
Well, that's what I mean. It was like. That was pre-Doom for me.
But
I was like really stoked. I'm like, oh hell yeah! Like you get just like your mutants and your zombies, and you get a like that was cool to me.
That makes sense. Beavis and Butthead. Your parents let you get that?
No,
I wasn't even allowed
I got that at a garage sale. That's a garage sale fine. But
I was gonna say I couldn't even watch that show.
I know it was. I had to sneak over to my buddy's house to watch Beavis and Butthead. Yeah.
Beavis and Butthead. Is it? I've never played it on Genesis though.
It's weird. It's not that great. It's good, but it's not amazing. Let's just it's a meh.
Oh yeah, Sonic 3. I can't read these ones over here.
Well, I like Sonic 2, and then
I just bought the Genesis collection on the Switch, and it doesn't have any of the games. I just bought it. I was like, it's probably gonna have a bunch of games that I remember. It doesn't have any of the games that it has 5. Are the ones that I played that were classics to me, but apparently they probably based the games that came out in the collection on the Switch based on like what sold the most. Apparently I didn't play what sold the most because there's only like 5 games I even recognized on there.
Yeah, I want to get a Switch so I can actually see this.
You don't have a Switch?
I don't have a Switch yet.
Oh, dude.
Like I'm that guy. Yeah. Oh, you don't have a Switch. You have all the other shit.
Do you play any?
Yeah. Smash Brothers is what he says.
Does he play Smash?
Oh, yeah. See, I like Smash Brothers. I'm really bad at it, but I like Smash Brothers, so...
The Smash Bros. On Switch is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I heard it's really good.
Yeah, it's really good. My favorite Smash Brothers is the Wii Smash Brothers. That's the one I put the most hours into. But I think the Switch one... I mean, it's every character of every Smash Brothers in one game. Can't really go wrong.
I think that the best Smash Brothers... And I don't play Smash Brothers very often, but I think the best Smash Brothers is probably on the GameCube.
Yeah, and... like. Pro Smash Brothers players would say the same thing.
I think that one's the most fun.
Yeah.
I've only played it a few times. I don't even own it. I gotta get it, but...
That's definitely, if you're a Smash what would you call it? A smash like what's the word? Aficionado.
Aficionado.
Aficionado. That's fancy. If you're one of those guys, you're deep into Smash. You're gonna say GameCube's the best.
Yeah.
Apparently, because I'm not I feel like I'm decent at Smash, but there's like a wave dash or the Z dash that you can only do on the GameCube version. That apparently is what like all the pros that play at Evo. That's the reason why the GameCube version it's faster. And there's something it's called the wave dash. Some technique called the wave dash. When you see it, it's like they can like dash and move midair. It's like some way I don't know.
So yeah,
apparently that's what makes it awesome.
The thing is, I need to play it more often because I don't play Smash Brothers very often, but I'm sure. Yeah. All right.
He says no. I had a guy.
Our Google guy says he can.
I had a guy on like 2 episodes ago. He's a local semi-pro Street Fighter player, and he kind of tinkers around with other fighting games.
Street Fighter?
Yeah, he's really good. He plays a lot of Street Fighter 5, and he does. His name's Thomas Winkley. His episode will be up a couple before yours. Apparently, there's like 3 major nights in Salt Lake a week where people who are into Street Fighter go and play.
That would be fun.
So if I know you're good at fighting games, probably too.
Not as much. Fighting games.
Not as much.
I love fighting games. It's not my jam. Again, say the jam thing again.
He's like balls deep into Street. He he trains Street Fighter like 3 to 4 nights a week. Does multiple regional tournaments every couple months, and then he'll fly to like the big tournaments.
Yeah. And
he talked about playing against guys who are world class, like top level ranked players. And he can hang with them for like a round or 2 until they figure him out, and then he gets destroyed.
Yeah.
So he's not quite there yet. But as far as anyone I know personally, I've never seen anyone so good at Street Fighter.
That's why I like Puzzle Fighter though. Because if you're good at Puzzle Fighter and you watch how they play, then you know how they play, and then you can use that as an advantage.
As advantage against them.
But then again, like
is there tournaments for Puzzle Fighter?
I don't know if there's any.
You should do it.
Oh, I would love to. I just don't know if there's any right now. It's a very niche game.
It's a very niche game.
It's I don't know. Not a lot of people even really know about Puzzle Fighter.
I know that's when you messaged me for game night. I was just impressed that someone was bringing up Puzzle Fighter in the first place. I was like, oh, that's like a random weird game I had the demo disc of when I was a kid.
Yeah. And
put a bunch of hours into. I haven't heard about that game since.
Yeah, and that's the thing is not a lot of the people that came over for game night that night really knew
what
they were getting into.
Your girlfriend was pretty good though. She's obviously playing you. Right?
Really?
She beat me.
Did she?
I beat her once, and then she beat me.
I'm proud of her.
I beat her 1 out of 3.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I got kind of drunk that night, so. You
did. Surprise!
Someone brought me some tequila, and I was like, all right,
some of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
cheers! Thank you, sir.
Here you go. I'll probably refill mine, I guess.
Did you ever play? So I've asked this. Anytime anyone's brought up the Genesis at all, whether they had it at a friend's house, you're the first one to have a Genesis as a kid. To this day, no one's played this game. So if you say yes to this, you'll be my new favorite person. It's a game called Cyborg Assault.
Cyborg Assault.
Cyborg. It's I might be getting that game wrong, but it's a side scroller beat 'em up like Streets of Rage, except you play cyborgs, and you have every arm. So you have 2 arms, a torso, and legs, and you can take the parts from the people you beat up. So it's like we're fighting. You have a cannon arm. I want your cannon arm. I'll beat you up, rip your arm off, and then put your arm into my arm, and now I have a cannon arm. And then they would introduce environmental.
I'm gonna look this up. I'm looking it up. I'm not.
Look it up.
I'm gonna look it up.
D. Jamie.
Yeah, D.
2.0.
Cyborg.
It might not be
Assault.
Cyborg Attack or Cyborg Assault Genesis. If you just type in Cyborg Genesis, it's gonna come up.
Hold on, yeah, I'm gonna do that.
And nobody knows this game, and I don't know if it was like I just randomly got it as a kid, but I put hours and hours and hours to this, and nobody's heard of it.
Cyborg Justice.
Cyborg Justice.
Cyborg Justice.
Cyborg Justice.
That looks awesome.
If you find that in a garage sale anywhere, I grew up thinking it was a popular game because I had it, but it's not on the Genesis collection. Nobody's heard of it. Maybe it wasn't popular.
Hold on. I gotta see it.
He's looking up some cyborg justice.
I gotta see this. I gotta see it now. Sega Genesis Cyborg Justice. All right. Oh, dude, that's super cheap. You just grab it on eBay.
Oh, you're looking up on eBay.
Yeah.
So it must not be like a collector's thing.
Yeah, but what we should do is just get it and we should play it.
We should play it. I will come over and play that game.
That's what I'm saying.
Man, my buddy Griff Griffiths would put hours into that game.
Chris Griffin?
Chris Griffin. No, close. Griff. Do you know Griff Griffiths?
Oh, no.
I think. Where'd you grow up? What city did you grow up in?
Orem.
Orem? Yeah. What part of Orem?
Just by Hain. Me and Hain.
Oh, so you were northeast Orem. By Timpanogos, kind of? If you were in Haines area?
Yeah. Like, he really only lived just down the street from me.
Did you go to Timpanogos?
Yeah.
I went to Orem High. Okay. Yeah, Griff went to Orem High. I did have some overlap with Timpanogos kids, but you went to the same year I did. Did you, well, we probably should play Did You Know on fucking a podcast, but...
But this is Utah, and that's how we all know.
This is Utah, and only people listening right now are
everyone knows each other.
I hung out with, I definitely met Hayne. Do you know Larry Lears? Yeah. We'll just leave. Yeah, but we were friends. We nerded out about video games. We had a programming class. So I made friends with him because he was into games.
Nice.
And he actually introduced me to a bunch of PC games because his dad had a PC. His dad was like, or stepdad, I think. We'd go over there and he had a computer and we'd play Halo. And he had like a pretty cool setup. So I became friends with him over video games. A year younger than me was a guy named Daniel Welch.
Dan Welch. He lived he was in my ward.
Yeah, he lived in Japan for a while.
Yeah,
and then,
Dan Welch.
I became good homies with him.
That's so funny because I was friends with him up until I was like 14 or 15. And then, I don't know when you became friends with him, but I feel like maybe we probably ran into each other.
Probably after.
Because we'd all hang out.
It was high school, so I would have been 15 or 16.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Probably somewhere.
I knew him before. Okay, I was in junior high, up until junior high.
So he hung out with Mike Mon and Stephen Wilson.
Yeah, Stephen Wilson's a homie.
Yeah.
I like
Stephen Wilson's a homie, yeah.
He's a good guy.
Have you seen him on Instagram lately? He's jacked.
Really?
He was like a kind of a taller, lanky kid.
Yeah.
He is jacked.
Really? That's so funny to think about.
Yeah. And I remember he came from a sort of wealthy family and he had a RSX, an Acura RSX, a little two-door souped-up coupe. And man, his dad must be patient because he would rally the shit out of that car. I couldn't believe how much he beat that car up, but we would race people all the time. Anyway, they didn't really play a lot of games, actually. The three of them, they weren't into games. They were more into Chingy and Nelly and picking up on chicks. Which I was short, chubby, and into gaming. And then I'd tag along with them sometimes.
Also me.
Why we both ended up making music and
talking about video games.
Yeah. So that on Genesis, did you play Vector Man?
Yeah, Vector Man's pretty
Vector Man was awesome. Yeah. That's one of the ones that's on.
I got that one around here.
Do you have Vector Man?
Yeah. I don't have the case though, so I think it's one of. That's Earthworm Jim. Man, I don't remember what it is.
Nice.
Oh, it's Vector Man right there.
There it is.
Yeah.
I never played Vector Man 2. Did you play the second one?
I haven't. No.
Yeah, I never played this. Did you play Earthworm Jim?
Yeah, well, it's this one right here.
Oh, nice. I never played Earthworm Jim 2 either, but I remember Earthworm Jim. I remember thinking the graphics were how did they make something look so good? It seemed like a step up.
Yeah.
In graphics.
Well, that was like Donkey Kong on Super Nintendo.
Yes.
Because that new engine that was just so cool.
Yeah, the Donkey Kong. I've said this a bunch of the past episodes, but there's a really awesome. If you're into Donkey Kong graphics and want to learn more about it, there's an awesome documentary on YouTube about how Silicon Knights, I think that ended up becoming rare later. They were experimenting with CGI for movies, and they did. Did you ever see the movie The Abyss? They go deep underwater, and they find an alien deep under the sea.
Oh, okay. That sounds really It's not. Isn't there one called Sphere that's the same concept?
Really?
Yeah, I swear there's one. I think it's called Sphere. I know The Abyss, but I think there's also Sphere. I'm thinking of.
Are they the same movie?
Samuel L. Jackson's in it.
No, definitely not Samuel. Not the one I'm thinking of.
Okay.
But anyway, it was an early movie that had really rudimentary CGI that looked like. Have you seen Donnie Darko?
Yeah.
You know how he can see the time thing coming out? It's a very similar effect that they use in The Abyss. Anyway, that company, Silicon Knights, was developing some of that early CGI technology for movies. And when they came up with the idea for Donkey Kong, hey, we can render these frames on high-end workstations down to like 2D sprites, and then take the colors out, and then the Super Nintendo might be able to actually. So they rendered all like the animations for like on movie supercomputers, and then turned them into regular 2D sprites that normally would have been like pixel drawn for a traditional game. But the reason why Donkey Kong looked the way it did, it was actually pulled from 3D modeling instead of animators. And that's how they achieved that effect. And Vector Man was the Genesis sort of answer to Donkey Kong. And that's why Vector Man is made out of balls. Because just rendering the spheres... Not these type of balls, but spheres.
I'm 14
anyway,
this is funny.
Vector Man, it was easier, it was quicker rendering and an easier process to do a perfect sphere.
Yeah.
So like, let's create a character around spheres because we're going to be able to create... And Vector Man actually has way more animations and way more frames. It's in some ways a technically superior game as far as graphics goes compared to Donkey Kong. But Donkey Kong was the one that like...
Yeah, that was like
it blew everyone's
the groundbreaking thing. That was even on the Game Boy. I don't know if you've seen it on the Game Boy.
I haven't seen the Game Boy.
It's just like almost the same, but it's like the graphics are impressive for a Game Boy. You're like,
I didn't even know they'd put it on the Game Boy.
Yeah, I got it around here somewhere.
Of course, he has it.
It's around here somewhere.
Oh, I do see Donkey Kong Land.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
That's the one. Yeah.
So we have to go back. You got Game Boy around the same time as NES, right? Because you were talking about playing something on the Game Boy, Tetris, or anyway. What games on Game Boy stick out to you the most? What did you sink a bunch of hours into on Game Boy?
So when I was a little kid, this goes back to when we were talking about being LDS, growing up LDS.
Yeah.
Remember, I got my hands on Mortal Kombat. So Mortal Kombat, yeah, I know, and was like just a little kid playing it. I look at a little flashlight on my original Game Boy, you know, That one, it was a huge thing that stuck out for me. And Pokemon. Definitely Pokemon.
That's a big one people bring up.
Huge game. Yeah, I played it so much that, that's when I bought the Game Boy Color, because I'm just like, I get to play Pokemon on a color screen now. It was so much fun to do, so...
Did you do the rare candy trick?
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
So many times. I would level them all up, and then other kids in the neighborhood were like, you want to battle? I'm like, yes, I do.
Yeah, I got level 90
yes,
on
I do.
everything, bitch.
I was like, how do you have all these guys? I'm like, well...
Yeah, I don't know, 'cause it was sort of pre-internet. I don't remember how I found the rare candy trick, but I remember printing out the instructions so I could remember them, because I couldn't get them again. And it's like you had to swim from one island to another.
You swim down to the island on the bottom left corner, get your water Pokemon, and then half on the land, half on the water, and go up and down until you get hit by the missing no, and then just...
Damn, you have a good memory.
Yeah, I memorized. I actually didn't print it out. I memorized it all.
Yeah, you just...
And then I would do that over and over and over, level up my guys like crazy, and then duplicate all my Master Balls, and then catch everything.
Yeah, because it was a glitch. It wasn't just for rare candy. You could duplicate any item, right? You put whatever item you set in you could duplicate a rare candy or a Master Ball or whatever.
It was whatever it was the 7th item down.
The 7th item. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's 7th. Hopefully I'm right on the 7th.
You're probably right. I just trust you because you remember way more. That's awesome. You got a couple Final Fantasies. Did you play Final Fantasy as a kid? That's kind of a hard game for a kid.
I played 7 when it came out, but not as much as you played 7, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I played 7, and that was awesome. I loved it. I didn't ever beat it. It was one of those games that it was really fun to do, and I was just wanted to spend more time on it, but didn't have the time, and then I never finished it. And so, yeah.
So you own the Game Boy Final Fantasy, more collector item?
Yeah, that actually came with a package deal of a bunch of other games I was buying. So I actually haven't played those yet, unfortunately.
Dang. So you went from NES to Sega. What was next?
It's a good question.
For me, it was
I think I did
PS1.
Yeah.
PS1 and 64 sort of...
I mean, we're talking about console gaming, because about that time I was playing Doom and stuff on...
Oh, so you did get into PC gaming, because obviously Doom's your...
Yeah. Well, Mac gaming. My dad was a Mac developer, and we had Mac computers, so I played a lot of Mac games. Did
you play Lode Runner?
Yes.
Because that was
Lode Runner,
the Mac game that everyone had that had a Mac was Lode Runner.
That was the old Apple computer, the old ones. But like OS 9, like Mac OS 9, I played a lot of games doing
What's
that.
the best game on the Mac that you remember?
Carmageddon.
Oh, yes.
That was
of course
probably,
you'd like
my,
Carmageddon.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite
I forgot about Carmageddon. That was like Twisted Metal before Twisted Metal.
Yeah, that was like the game. And to have it come out and you're like just building your car bigger and bigger. And there was a ton of levels you could play. There were so many levels. And just like running over all the zombies and beating each other with all the cars and stuff. Like, that game was just, Twisted Metal before Twisted Metal.
Twisted Metal before Twisted Metal.
I totally agree with you there.
Yeah, and I remember you could go into the stadium and run the football players over.
Yes, they're all playing football.
Yeah. To me, I was always drawn to like sort of the more adult violent games because I'm not allowed. Same thing with Mortal Kombat. Like I couldn't play Mortal Kombat even though I had a Genesis. I wasn't allowed to get it.
Yeah,
but the Genesis version had blood. The Super Nintendo didn't.
Did you know that they actually had original like people in the game with blood, but then it got turned down by whoever was who was doing the ratings and stuff? They turned it down because it was too violent, so they had to switch them to zombies and change the blood to green.
Oh.
Yeah.
I just remember that, the Genesis, you could put a code in to get actual blood.
Yeah. And then with the Mac version, you could be like, you could choose zombies or blood. They kind of like made this option for you. But yeah.
Yeah, and then when Mortal Kombat 2 came out, my dad wouldn't let me watch it in the arcade. So we would go to my favorite game in arcades, I don't know if you ever played this, was called Afterburner. Did you ever play Afterburner? It was like an airplane game that the cockpit would, in the arcade, the cockpit would actually move. And so I would ask money to go play Afterburner.
Yeah, because you're like, as a kid, like that's a cool thing to do.
It was the shit, dude. Yeah. It was so awesome. I would play a couple games of Afterburner, and he would I would let him see me playing Afterburner, then he'd kind of like wander off doing his thing, and then I'd...
Dad, look at this game.
Then I'd walk off, and there was always a line for Mortal Kombat. I was like a little kid, so I could sneak up to the side and kind of see the up and angle from the screen, and no one would get mad. A little kid like Buddy. I wasn't actually going to play, but there's always this line.
Peeking over there.
Yeah, and I would watch people play Mortal Kombat 2 because I wasn't allowed to watch it, and then my dad would freak the fuck out and going like, you're not supposed to be watching this. But I was that same thing. I was always drawn to the more adult violent games. I think I played Carmageddon at a friend's house that had a PC. Was it on PC as well?
Yeah, they had a PC and Mac.
Yeah.
And then I had the Mac one, obviously.
So your dad, you growing up LES, they didn't really care?
But this is the thing. It was always like this. I feel like, and this is how, I don't know. I don't know how it all went down. I was like 11 years old, 12 years old, whatever. But I feel like my dad, because he was a computer guy, was like, I'm going to get you this. Because he was like, he wanted to get me consoles and games and stuff like that. And then my mom was about it, but I think to the point where, once like the Columbine thing happened, she was freaking out.
Because everyone blamed that on Doom.
Yeah, Doom.
Back in the day.
Which is a huge thing. Because my dad bought me Doom. Like, he bought me Doom first, and Wolfenstein, and all that stuff. And so, I was huge. I love that stuff. That was my favorite thing. And I thought it was so crazy when like the Columbine thing happened. I was like, that's weird that someone would do that. Like, it wasn't the video games, and it wasn't the music. It was those kids, and their parents probably didn't like talk to them. You know what I mean? It was the weirdest thing to me. So, yeah. Anyway, my dad.
So your mom, when Columbine happened, started worrying about.
Yeah, she was like, oh no, and then going to like these parent meetings and stuff. And do you have an Eminem CD? Do you have Marilyn Manson? And I'm like,
were you listening to Marilyn Manson?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I was like, no, I don't have that. Like, hurry, run up to my room and hide the CDs and shit, But the funny thing is about that is like, they would find the CDs. Eventually, they'd find certain CDs and stuff and music and throw them away. But my dad, again, bought me a CD burner when I was a kid, and I was like, I'm going to burn all the CDs. So when they, get thrown away, I would just buy a new CD or burn a new CD.
Oh, so you didn't care if they took it away.
Yeah. Like, fuck it. I just burn a new CD.
And it seems like your dad was sort of aware, like...
I think he was. And he was such a cool
guy. Trying to balance out.
He was. I think he knew. Like, I think he kind of knew, but, like, didn't really think too much of it. It was like, oh, no, he's a good kid, like, whatever. He's not out doing drugs and, like...
Just let him be a kid.
Yeah, I think he just wanted to just have me be me, which is great. So, I think that.
So you got after the Genesis. Your dad's a Mac developer. Is that when you got introduced to Doom, which is obviously your favorite game?
Yes. So there was so it was like Wolfenstein, like all those old OS 9 games. Let's see, there was. Oh man, we used to play a game called like Squirrel Combat. I don't know if you've ever even heard of that game.
I've never heard of that.
There was all these weird, obscure games for OS 9.
My cousin had a Mac, and that was my exposure to Mac. I do remember Lode Runner, and I do remember like he had an early game that was in 3D where you played like a bug, and you like run through the grass.
Oh,
does that ring a bell to you?
Yes, that does. What is that game? Oh wow, I think I actually had that game. Like my dad was always buying all these OS 9 games for us. Like we'd always play a shit ton of them. There were so many. Oh, what was it?
I remember just being one of the first games that had 3D graphics that like later on in the PS2 era, the compressed textures that were smooth, that kind of were smoothed over versus pixelated. And it's the first time I'd seen textures that weren't pixelated in a 3D game and thinking like, damn, Macs are cool.
Yeah, no,
like,
it was impressive.
Cool.
It was really, and the graphics cards for them, I feel like were like a step up from
at the time.
So the graphics card that came. Yeah, the graphics cards that came in the Macs were actually like the good ones, whereas the ones that came standard with PC were like not good. You'd have to buy the upgrade. Yeah. And so, when you bought the Mac, you were like, all right, let's get the games, and you'd already be just stoked on the games. But
Mac had at least I did play a lot of games on the Mac in the school of Mac Lab, which was Oregon Trail.
Yes, the old Oregon Trail.
A fucking Oregon Trail, and then there was one, maybe you remember, I brought it up a couple times, where, dang, I need to look this up so I can remember the name later in another episode, but you started out as like picking a doll in a carnival, and you shot the doll with a gun, and then you get transported to this other world.
The island game, Dr. something Island.
Yes!
Oh, what is that?
What is that?
Oh, it's such a good game.
No one's ever remembered that.
It's such a good game. Yes,
it was trippy.
Yes, it was so much fun.
Made me feel like
Something Island.
Yes, Something Island.
Oh, D.
And it was a bunch of puzzles.
Come on, D. Google it.
Look that up, Mac. I don't even know what you'd Google.
Mac OS 9 Island game. Oh, fuck, I don't know.
But it was trippy because you would shoot the doll. Yes. The doll would get sucked into an alternate
and then you
world
go
and
into
come
this
to life.
Little spinny thing.
Yes, the swirls. Yes.
Monkey Island.
And then you have
Monkey Island's a different one.
Yeah,
Monkey Island's a great game though. That's a great game.
It's a great game.
Oh, I love it.
And you have to like do these puzzles. I remember
what was it?
There's like a cavern where you have to have
that was one of my favorite games. Like, because it was all the puzzle games. Like, I just loved it. And that was when, in the Mac Lab, that was what we did. Yeah. Like, oh, sweet, we got to go to the Mac Lab. Let's play that game.
That was a big one. Numbers Munchers was another. Did you play Numbers Munchers? It was like a math game where you played like a little Pac-Man guy.
I played, not Numbers Munchers, but I played Math Blaster, which was...
Yes, Math Blaster.
Yeah. That was a good one. Obviously my favorite of all time, Diablo 2. Like that came out with OS 9 of it originally.
Diablo 2 was on OS 9?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they had to port it. They had to port it, or at least run it in Classic when you played on OS 10.
I didn't get into any of the Diablos till much later in retrospect. Did you play Doom before Diablo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually still play Diablo to this day. Still have my account.
You got to get Diablo 3 on the Switch, by the way.
Oh, really?
It's
dangerous.
Heard it's good. It's dangerous. Because you can just like lay in your bed and just grind and grind and grind.
See, and that I played the beta for Diablo 3 and I was like, this is cool. I think it's really fun. But it wasn't Diablo 2.
It's not Diablo 2.
Diablo 2 was like, with the Lord of the expansion pack, that was like my thing.
I remember thinking, so again, I sort of pull similarly in like, I like dark, demonic angels and demons. And I remember the cutscenes, the CGI cutscenes in Diablo 2 at my friend's house. Like, was it Gabriel, the main angel? The fallen angel that's like helping you?
Iswal?
Yes.
Or no, but Iswal and Gabriel, I thought, were...
Gabriel, he has like a mask and you can just see his eyes, but he's got wings.
Yeah.
He comes down. I just remember some of the cutscenes and just the idea of the lore of like angels and demons, thinking like, oh man, this is really cool, but it was at a friend's house. I didn't ever own it.
Yeah.
But Doom was the same way. Speaking of LDS, I would play Doom. I had a young men's leader. I didn't have access to a PC at this time that had an old PC, and he would let me come over and play Doom at his house. And he
what a good guy.
And
what a good guy.
I remember him saying, like, I probably shouldn't let you play this because I know your parents are going to not care, like, not like it.
You know.
He was a chill dude.
Yeah.
And I remember reading something online, doing a code, and at the very end of Doom 2, the final boss, you can clip through the wall, and there's, like, the head on the stake, and it's supposed to be, like, one of the developers or something.
John Carmack?
John Carmack.
Yeah.
And I remember just like thinking like, oh, I'm fighting the devil, and what's behind the devil is actually a severed head. And I was too young to understand that it was a programmer and it was like an Easter egg. So I interpreted it as like the devil is actually like
this guy.
And I just remember thinking that whole idea of like demons.
I know, when I first saw that, I was like, what is this?
Yeah,
like, it was so confusing. Like, what am I looking at right now? But then after a while, because I had the poster of Doom with all like their signatures and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And then I was starting to like look up, well, when the internet came around, starting to look it up and like, oh, that's the main developer.
The main dude.
Which actually, he just came out with a new, like a whole new map pack of all original Doom. And, and like Buckethead does the soundtrack.
Yes.
So it's, I want to get it. I just haven't gotten it yet, but.
I saw that headline. There's been do you have Steam? Do you play games on Steam?
No, but I probably should.
There's this whole like retro FPS like surge going on where they're...
Dude, it's a big thing right now. Like,
it's a huge thing, and they're making 90s FPSs that are like Duke Nukem Duke Nukem, Doom, and they're coming out with all these, and they have like weird graphic styles, and they're meshing sort of new modern gameplay mechanics with like these old school aesthetics. And it's just ruining my wallet. Like every time I see one, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll buy it. I probably won't play you for 6 months.
That's just like me though. Every time I'm like, hop on eBay for a second, like
you see a game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Buy it now. Or make an offer. You know, that kind of shit.
So when you played Doom the first time, obviously it's your favorite game. We have your shirt. We got the Doom guy. We've nerded out about
again,
Doom.
I did not mean to actually wear the shirt. I put it on this morning. Forgot about that we were doing this. And then you came over like, Doom. Oh, yeah.
What about Doom? So you played it on Mac the first time. That was the first version you played, right? What about... Well,
actually, no, sorry, hold on. I played at a friend's house when I was a kid. He had a PC, and we played like Doom and Hexen, Heretic,
Hexen.
You know, all those older, you know, Duke Nukem. And then what's the other Duke Nukem? It was the guys who made Duke Nukem that did like a Samurai.
What's it called? Not Samurai Showdown, but
no.
Shadow Warrior.
Shadow Warrior.
That
was we played all those games, and then eventually I was like, Dad, I want to get Doom, you know, like Doom. And so he bought it for me eventually, but.
And then you got it for yourself. And what about it? Did you know immediately this is going to be your favorite game ever, or did it grow on you over time?
I knew. I don't know. I didn't know it would be my favorite game ever. Because I have a lot of favorite games.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I was a huge fan. Actually, while we're talking about this, Marathon, which was Bungie, who did Halo and all that stuff, they did Marathon, which was the precursor to Halo. It was like the
I've never even heard of this.
Yeah, and actually, there's a Marathon 2, Durandal, and that's where...
That's where you get your artist name.
That's where I got my artist name, was the crazy computer who's trying to teleport you around the universe, slowly goes crazy, tries to kill you, and that's where... It's
called Marathon?
Marathon.
And there's Marathon 1 and 2?
There's 3.
There's 3 of them?
1, 2, and Infinity.
And they're PC, Mac?
Mac. Oh, it was only Mac.
Only Mac.
And
I've never heard of this.
So and as, you know, being, you know, with my dad, who was a Mac developer and all that, was like, you need to try Marathon. You know, and we played it. We actually, my greatest memory was going, so he worked at WordPerfect in Novell. I don't know if you remember WordPerfect in Novell.
Yeah, that's where my friend that had the PC's dad worked. Yeah.
So he worked at Novell and WordPerfect, and we would play like LAN parties, you know, because all their computers are connected. Mm-hmm. And so Saturday afternoons, we would go over to his work, and he'd be like, hey, I'm going to go play Marathon with my son. You guys should come down, you know, and he would have some of his like coworkers come down and play, and I would destroy them all. Like, I was the kid. Like, you're bringing your son again? Don't bring your I'm like this 12-year-old kid, like, ready to just throw down a marathon. Like, that was my thing.
It's an FPS, right? It's a precursor.
First-person shooter. Yeah. Like, it was the first-person shooter where you could aim up and down. So, because Doom auto-aimed for you.
Yeah, with auto-aim.
Yeah, but, like, Marathon was, like, you could move, like, all around.
Yeah. Have you played Brutal Doom?
Brutal Doom's awesome.
So I brought that up to some other guys on the episode and showed them, and Brutal Doom is, like, if you're going to play Doom, just figure out how to do the Brutal Doom mod, but it's actually super easy. You just drag and drop onto... It's not that hard to figure out, but there's so many mods you can get in Brutal Doom. That's what I like about it, is you can actually aim the way that you can
Brutal Doom was one where you're like, oh, I'm playing Brutal Doom, like, oh, I can move around. Like, this is weird. Okay, but cool, you know. But the thing is the graphics get all weird because it's not used to that. Whereas Marathon was like, you can move around, and it was like...
It was built for it.
Yeah, it was
There are some cool... I don't know, do you read a lot of, like, gaming websites? Keep up with gaming news? Not really?
Not as much.
So, NVIDIA has, along with Google and some other people, have released what they call neural AI upscalers. So, you feed the AI a bunch of pictures, and then it will upscale, and then it will learn, kind of figure out, like, what they're supposed to look like. And then it can 4, 6, 8, 10x the resolution of a picture. And it will, but it's not just like a filter. It'll actually fill in the pixels based on AI. And so people have gone, of course, Doom is one of the first games, and someone has gone through and basically rammed through all the textures, all the enemies, everything. So it's all 8x.
Oh, wait. There was, I remember that. Okay, so there's, I know you can get, like remakes of Dooms that people have done.
So
where, the graphics are, like, really awesome. Like,
so
pretty impressive.
There's a bunch of packs that are done by hand where people have gone through and created their own assets to replace the original Doom assets, and I think some of those are actually better. But if you're like a purist and you want to see the original artwork just upscaled to modern resolutions, then you can use these texture and sprite packs that are based on AI upscaling.
See, I like that. I like that idea. Where you're like, still the nostalgia's there, but you kind of want to like live in 2019, where you're like, hold on.
Anyway, if you combine those texture packs with the gameplay elements of Brutal Doom, which Brutal Doom, the newest version, has third-person executions. So it's like they've animated everything. Like the camera will zoom out. You'll see Doom guy, and he'll like, kind of like Doom 2016. Will like rip an arm off, but it's all pixelated and there's blood everywhere. I like the pixel aesthetic. I love obviously great 3D graphics, but I think something about the pixel aesthetic I don't ever get sick of. I don't get sick of it. And anyway, so Brutal Doom's, it's something about pixel blood and pixel demons. Slightly more satisfying.
It's true because you can make it. Well, I don't know. I feel like you can just make it as the most fucked up thing you can see, and just like as much blood as you want. It doesn't even matter. There could be like a fire truck hose full of blood coming out of it, and it's like, oh, it's just pixelated. It's not that big of a deal. Whereas if you're playing like a new version of Doom, and like if you rip some guy in half, then like if it was like a shit ton of blood, it would just be weird. You'd be like, oh, I don't like that. You know, like,
it doesn't work the same way.
If it was pixelated and it's just like just gore flying everywhere, like that would be pretty fun.
Yeah, and the Brutal Doom mod has like a slider of how much blood you want. I always turn it on. Of course,
there shouldn't even be a slider.
There shouldn't. Exactly.
Put it to the top. Don't worry about it.
Don't give me that. So you get into Doom, and obviously it hits you pretty hard because that's your. Did you play Doom 1 and 2? Did you beat them, or was it just something you played?
All the time. Yeah. I did it with codes, without codes, like over and over and over. Like,
over and over again.
Yeah. And then I memorized all my favorite levels, and I would ID clip, to my favorite level every time. Yeah.
Dang. And then, is there anything else on PC that you can remember?
Or ID clip. I said ID clip, sorry. I'm totally coming back on that. I said ID clip. That's gonna be nerd in me.
Isn't ID clip the
ID clip is so you build the walls? That was ID CLEV, ID Clev or whatever. I have to correct myself for the podcast.
There's some other Doom nerd out there. Fuck that guy.
Some dude, motherfucker, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Yeah, if we were drunk hanging out and I said that, I'd have been like, fuck it. But now we're on the podcast. Yeah, I gotta say it. Sorry, but keep going.
So you do the NES, the Genesis, then the Mac OS comes in. You get introduced to Doom, which is now your favorite game. and then you went to. I see you have some PS1 games. Chronologically, for me, that's what would be next. Do you remember what you got after that?
It's a good question again. I can't. I mean, I guess. Yeah. I mean, Well, yeah, all the PS1 games. I mean,
there's a PS1 version of Doom, isn't there?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, it's around here.
Oh, you got Gran Turismo.
That one right there.
Oh yeah, there is.
So the PS1 version is really cool because like the music is different and like the atmosphere is different, the sounds are different. It's just it's very. Like,
is it darker?
It's very eerie. Yeah.
Yes, I think
it's eerie.
I think so. I mentioned this before we started recording the podcast. There's a YouTube channel. I think it's called like Retrospective Gaming, or it's the type of episode you can look like Doom Retrospective, and they go through and they compare all the different ports and console versions in different places you can play Doom. And I'm pretty sure that's what they mentioned on the PS1 version. That's a completely different soundtrack. That's darker.
Yeah,
and they said that I didn't play that version when I had PS1, even though that was my glory days. But in this little mini documentary on Doom, they said a lot of people prefer the PS1 version just because of the audio.
Yeah, that's what I've heard from a lot of people too. Was like you have to play that one mainly for just like the cool sounds. You know.
Did you play an FPS on PS1 called Disruptor?
I didn't.
It was like similar to Doom, where it wasn't full 3D. Like the gun was a 2D sprite. All the enemies were 2D sprites, but you had rudimentary 3Ds. It's like a very early PS1. It's like a sci-fi cyberpunk. You might want to check that one out too. I mean, I don't know how it plays now. PS1 is my glory days. So but I will say this. PS1 games don't hold up as well as like NES, Super Nintendo, Genesis games. They're more clunky. And
I think there's some.
There's
Wipeout.
some.
Still, Wipeout is one of the best racing games I think of all time.
Yeah,
Wipeout was just perfect.
Sort of semi-copyright issue is the artwork for the podcast. I have like remember there's Ferris. Anyway, I liked on Wipeout the different fake companies, the different companies that manufactured the racers. Phasar. There's the racer Phasar, and they have like a little circle with lines. I stole and kind of moved that little Phasar logo and put it in the right-hand corner of the artwork because that's Wipeout was the first game that got me into electronic music. That's
really?
kind of
yeah, there was a pretty cool soundtrack.
Yeah,
for
really
that.
cool
there was
soundtrack.
A really good soundtrack.
Well, I mean electronic. So I put electronica, like electronica, like.
But as a kid, like that's going to be the thing that's going to.
Yes.
You're not going to hear that. I mean, I don't think it was made in. Was it made in the United States? I think it was made. Like,
I think it's a German.
Yeah. And
Psygnosis.
So, yeah.
I think it's a German.
So like when
European.
when you're like hearing that music.
Yes.
Because like we didn't get that music force fed to us.
At all
until the PlayStation came along. Until there was like stuff like this from
the idea of anti-gravity racing. All the little like they created their own corporate world. All these different companies. They had their own logos. Each company had their own backstory. And then the music. I listened to electronica. Like I had listened to some electronic stuff that Nine Inch Nails was doing. Depeche Mode was like but it wasn't like dance or heavy electronica. Or Wipeout was like.
Yeah, there was a lot.
This is actually.
Yeah, there was a lot. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, as you're racing too.
But
yeah, I still think if you're gonna make a racing game and you want to get into it, drum and bass.
That's true.
Drum and bass is like
a game with drum and bass.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't heard a lot. Maybe like people can actually like tell us. Hopefully,
I'm sure someone will be like, "There's this."
Yeah, there's this one. Yeah, like I want to hear it. I want to hear, like, I want a good racing game with like some of the best drum and bass. Like that would be amazing.
I should link you up with one of my friends that's going to be on the podcast. We call him the Think Tank. His artist name is Think. And he's really like he digs deeper when it comes to music than anyone I've ever met. He blogged me. He ran a blog called The Wax Hole way back in the day. That was back when blogs mattered in music. They don't matter anymore. Anyway, he loves drum and bass. And he's always trying to convert me to drum and bass and sending me... There's so many subgenres in drum and bass. I should link you two guys up because I think he could give you some music. But he's the same way. He talks about... He will play games on mute and do drum and bass for his own soundtrack.
Yeah, I think that's the way to do it. Like, even I don't know. I think Mario Kart is one of the best racing games besides, Wipeout, Mario Kart. But if I put some drum and bass to like Mario Kart, like 64 especially, we'd go crazy.
I never thought about that. Yeah, that would be. It is pretty like heart pumping.
Yeah, and my buddy James, actually, we were talking about this at Dubwise recently. He was like, the scary thing is when you're driving in your car and you have the car with the automatic volume. When you accelerate and it goes louder, he's like, don't listen to drum and bass because you're just gonna accelerate as hard as you can. You're just blasting drum and bass, like yes.
And you're gonna die. You have Ridge Racer as well, which and Battling and Toshiden, which were the two first games I got on PS1. Did you get them early or did you get them later?
No, I got that with my PlayStation 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, because Ridge Racer was a launch game.
Yeah, and I'll tell you a story about this also. My dad actually took away Battle Arena from us, and he only brought it out like when my cousins were over, and we were like, okay, we want to play a fighting game, and he would like bust it out, teen rating, we're under teens, at the time, or I don't know, I think we're like 12 or 13 or something like that, and he would bust that out, and then we would just play Battle Arena for hours.
Do you remember the character you liked on Battle Arena to play the most?
Dude, it's been so long since I played that game.
There's a girl with green hair and like a fairy dress and two knives.
Yeah, no,
that's
she's
who
awesome.
I always played. Yeah.
The one that my favorite was the one with the katana, and you could do the flip.
The forward roll.
You would flip,
yes.
Yeah, just a flip, and you just
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I forget his name.
Battle Arena is the first game that I saw. I saw a PlayStation 1 at Blockbuster on demo. Battle Arena was playing, and I couldn't believe my mind, but I think PS1s were like $600, like early, like launch, and I think I got it a year later. But I got a demo disc with the PS1. That wasn't the demo disc that had Street Fighter, Puzzle Fighter on it. But it was like the launch demo disc, and it had this whale demo. Do you remember the whale demo? Did you ever play this? There was a demo where all it was a whale in water. And you could move the camera anywhere you wanted and circle this whale, and you could control its animations.
Really?
And just the fact that you could control
you could do that, yeah. With a PlayStation 1 game,
It was a PlayStation 1 game, and I remember my dad was sort of like, video games are a waste of time. I'll let you play video games as long as you're playing sports the same amount of time, or you're doing homework the same amount of time. So up to that point, but I remember showing him this whale demo, and him being like, wait, what? He never seen 3D before.
Yeah.
And he didn't get into games, but I created like a little bit of a connection where I could bring games that were sort of to show him, like, look where the technology is going. I just remember him being blown away by that whale demo. But I also got Ridge Racer at launch with it. And the cool thing about Ridge Racer, which I don't know why they don't do this even now with modern games, is while the game is loading, you can play Galaga. Remember that?
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
I remember that.
Why don't they do that?
It's so cool.
It's this little 2D game, like, it keeps you entertained while the game is loading.
I mean, it's such a simple thing to run.
Such a simple thing.
I don't know.
It's an early idea that they never did.
Maybe let's petition this.
We should
Change.org.
Change.org. Put mini games into loading screens. Now a lot of games will do like hints, loading screens where you can cycle through hints and read hints.
That's true.
Yeah, I remember thinking that was an amazing...
I know the new Doom does that, where there's like, it will display hints. Actually, I don't know if you can cycle through them though, but I think it will always just like, I guess a lot of games do that. I shouldn't just say
some
Doom
of them,
in
like Dragon Age Origins is the one I was thinking of in particular, just because I'm going back and playing it, or excuse me, Dragon Age Inquisition, and you can cycle hints. Like, oh, I've already seen this hint before. I can cycle, and you just sort of cycle through hints while the game is loading. But I think a mini game, which the cool thing about Ridge Racer is published by Namco, who owns the publishing right for Galaga. So it's just a game they already own. And they're like, hey, we'll just run this simple small game while the game's loading.
Yeah.
And obviously PS1 loading times were long.
Like, just run like depending on how long a loading game is, you could like run like a Mario level or something fun, you know?
Small Mario level.
Or a Mega Man game, like, because Mega Man's hard as hell, but see how far you can get in that game while it's loading. That'd be a fun thing with your friends, where you're like...
Exactly.
You're like, okay, alright, so the game's loading, and you've got,
35 seconds.
Yeah, like,
or a minute.
how far can you get in Mega Man? Something like that.
That's how I would play Galaga. It's like, I would always try to see if I could shoot all of the invaders before the loading was finished. I never once got bored of that loading screen, and I just remember that's a launch title for PS1. It's a great idea.
That came with the console.
It came with the console.
That was the main game.
And speaking, I would always think like the super blocky Asian girl that had the thing. I was like, oh, she's so hot. And you go back and look at it now, it's just like triangle head, triangle boobs.
It was like old like Tomb Raider, where just like everyone was so hyped on this like 3D boobs, and you're like, it looks like road cones.
She wasn't hot, but I thought she was hot. Let's see what else. You got South Park. Oh, so you did play Final Fantasy VII, but you didn't beat it.
Yeah, it was not a thing that...
You do have a Gran Turismo 2. I put some time into Gran Turismo 2.
I was a big fan of... so, again, I would have the demo games and stuff. Like, my dad would get me the games and come with demo games. Ridge Rally. Ridge Rally was my thing.
Was that the off-road Ridge Racer?
Yeah. It was like, oh, I get to race like Subarus and shit. You know, like that was so cool to me. And so like off-road racing was probably one of my also a huge thing for me when I was a kid. Like,
did you play in the Dirt franchise? It's like the newer version of.
I know of Dirt, and which is weird. I actually never really got into Dirt.
I haven't played it either.
But it's I know it's good, and it was probably like the better version of all that. But
did you ever play Jet Moto on PS1?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think I have that.
You have Jet Moto?
I'm pretty sure I have that one around here somewhere.
Yeah, I remember Jet Moto had this mechanic that I've never seen in a racing game, at least since.
Yeah, Jet Moto was a good one.
Whereas when you take corners, you could hit like a grappling hook to an anchor.
And swing you harder.
It would swing you around, and no other racing game has used that. I thought that was cool, but I got a 64 eventually, and I remember specifically thinking when I got Wave Racer, I was like,
I have Wave Racer for sure.
Jet Moto's water is bullshit compared to the water in Wave Racer.
Yeah, Wave Racer is the better version of Jet Moto for sure.
Hands down.
However, the music on Wave Racer is total bullshit. Put the game on mute and listen to your own soundtrack.
I would say this. I don't remember anything about the music. It's forgettable, obviously.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's terrible. So I did like the opening, like the dolphin park, like the opening sort of play area wasn't a track, and there was dolphins and jumps. I can remember that music a little bit, but that's a good point. I do remember more music from Jet Moto than I do Wave Racer. It must have sucked. Yeah.
It's oh, I don't know. I play it. I'm like, I feel like I'm playing in this weird, like kids, like jump house place where there's like playing the dumbest stuff. I just can't do it. Like, I don't know.
Do you know what Coconut Cove is? Have you taken your daughter to Coconut Cove? It's the dopest.
No, I've done Kangaroo Zoo, which is probably a lot like Coconut.
That one's dope too. Coconut Cove is like 1600 north and like west of Geneva.
Okay.
It's kind of like out in Vineyard, but it's this, and they always play this like terrible music, which is making me think.
That's exactly like Kangaroo Zoo. I'm always over there with my kid. I'm like she's having the time of her life, and I'm over there.
And you're listening to this terrible music. Yeah, they're the same way. The play place is awesome, but why do they pick such terrible music? They know I mean, I guess it's more for
because
the kids.
It's for the kid. Like the kids don't care. I mean, for me, I'd be blasting Slayer and be like, "Your kids need to listen to this cool shit."
And the kids not even paying attention.
Yeah, they're not paying attention.
Jumping on. Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, Wave Racer had bad. I have to go back and listen to it. Did you play Pilot Wings on 64?
No, I didn't.
That was like you play Pilot Wings on SNES? I don't know if there's a Pilot Wings on GameCube. I
didn't play a lot of like flying type like simulation games. However, there's one for NES that I played a lot, which was like, what is it? What is it called?
I can't think of it.
Sky Strike. What is it?
On NES.
I have it. I just don't remember what it's called. I have to go through them. But that one was a fun one. Like, it was like a top-down bullet hell. And like you were the plant, and you were just doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like those.
You like the bullet hell games?
Yeah, like 1942. You know,
1942.
And all that stuff.
There's one. Did you ever play Raiden on PS1? Raiden or R-Type.
R-Type. I was going to say R-Type. I love R-Type.
R-Type
is awesome.
Yeah.
But that's a side scroller.
That's a side scroller, but similar concept.
I think that one of my favorite PlayStation 1 games, though, I think would be Machine Hunter. Do you ever play Machine Hunter?
No. And that's rare for me to not know a PS1 game. Do you have it?
Yes, I've got it still. And actually, Rory, if you watch this, I stole that from you when you were... I still have it.
You inherited it.
I still have it. Yeah, well, we played it together, and he left it at my house, and that was when we were
What kind of game is it?
We were like 16 years old. It was you're looking straight down, and you're like this half machine, you're like a cyborg machine thing.
Yeah.
And you would like cruise around through like this. It was like dark and scary. You know, it was like I don't know. You're like this in space almost. I can't even remember. But anyway, so you can go through it and you kill all these people and you upgrade and stuff and you get better guns and everything and like you can like reach around corners and kill people and stuff. Anyway,
I've never heard of that.
This is the thing. While we're going through all of this, I'm going to tell you right now, when we're done with this, we should probably play the modded Xbox so we can just go through games that we're talking about.
Because you have a modded Xbox?
Yeah, and I have every game, every old school game. Like I made sure I have all of them. And then every PlayStation 1 game, every original Xbox game, and then, any game we...
Yeah, Machine Hunter, because...
We should probably just,
the way you describe that reminds me a little bit of... did you play a game called Loaded? Because you
Loaded, yes, that sounds really familiar.
Yeah, you like the darker, more...
Yeah.
So, I remember my brother rented Loaded, and he was older, and he was mature, and I remember trying to tattle on him. My dad, he's not supposed to have that. I rented something else. I was such a little fucking shit.
I don't know, man. I mean, it's like...
But it was a top-down... Like, you could play as, like, 7 different psychopaths escaping the insane asylum. It was, like, the similar idea, but you were instead of a machine, you were, like, a psycho with special powers. It was top-down, really graphic, really dark, really bloody for PS1 era. Machine Hunter, man, when you talked about that... All
right, look, it's here.
I'm really surprised because my PS1 knowledge is generally...
Oh, that's Nightmare Creatures. Which is amazing. Amazing game.
That game is amazing. Nightmare Creatures is badass.
Machine Hunter because you... Yeah, it's right here.
Let me see if I recognize the cover. I have seen this cover.
Okay, good.
But I never played it.
That is an amazing game. Probably one of the best PlayStation 1 games.
This does look awesome. It reminds me a little bit of... There was a 64 game called Blast Corps. Did you play Blast Corps?
Mm-mm.
I think that game might have been a knockoff of this. Yes, I do remember seeing this this game. And I remember seeing the cover art. And for some reason, it was one of the few ones I didn't play. Dang. Maybe I have played this because I'm looking at a couple of the screenshots.
I know there was a demo of it. Like
I might have played the demo, yes.
Yeah. So that's what got me hooked. Like the demo I beat like a million times, and then my buddy had it, and he brought it over, and I was just like, and then he left it in my house, and I played it for so long. Oh, it's in my... I don't have it in here. I have it in my... Oh, look, I have the original codes. The original codes on a sticky note.
This is what you had to do.
Yeah.
So for you young children that have access to the internet, this is the shit we used to have to do. Write down the codes. That's awesome. Lazy player, all pickups. Yeah. Uranus, unlimited content.
Uranus? I don't know about
Get
that one.
sacked. Fight bosses only. No mission. Activates extra areas. Grim Reaper. One-shot kills. Z Unlimited. Unlimited upgrades. Invincible. Invincibility. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Dang, I'm impressed. You brought out a PS1 game that I wasn't aware of.
I mean, we should play it.
I'm definitely down to try it.
Probably play it later.
You also, the one I wanted to bring up was you have Bloody Roar. That was an animal fighting game.
Wait, on PlayStation?
Yeah, PS1. It's over here. It's called Bloody Roar.
Honestly, don't remember it, so I'm trying to think of what it is. What is it?
It's like
I'm
do you remember Primal Rage? It's like an arcade game where you can play as dinosaurs and gorillas, and they use this similar graphic style, digitized graphics like Mortal Kombat. This was like the 3D version of it.
Oh, wait. You know what? This might actually come from my buddy Funk Mod. I'm trying to think because I don't know if I played this one yet. And I know that he hooked me up with a bunch of games. I'm wondering if he gave me this one.
He might have.
And I haven't played it yet.
Because that game, instead of being an animal, you were a human that could... You know how fighting games will have like your power-up? That game, the power-up is you transform into the animal version. Each character has like an animal version of themselves. And I guess
that
was badass. Let's see. You also have. Let's see. No,
Rallycross.
Rallycross.
What did I say? Rally.
You said dirt or Ridge Rally.
I was thinking Ridge Racer. Sorry, I was like throwing Ridge Racer in. All right, the Scotch. It's the Scotch.
It's the Scotch.
I blame the Scotch right there.
You blame the Scotch.
Yeah.
So from PS1, so you got into PS1 a little bit. Were you still playing Mac at this time? Did your dad still have newer versions of Mac?
Oh, I was always like computer gaming.
What were you playing on computer?
Diablo 2, man.
Yeah.
Like that was Diablo 1 for a while with my buddy Corey. We used to we played football, so we did our football practices and stuff, and then he's like, "Do you want to go to your house and eat food and play Diablo?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course I do."
Of course.
And so we ride our bikes back, go play Diablo, and then we pass out, and then go back to practice, come back again, play Diablo again. And then Diablo 2 came out, and I was just like, and then the internet was there, and we were like playing with other people, and game over. People didn't see me for days. I was just.
So you went all in.
Oh yeah, dude! I was playing Diablo. Well, I have a song that I made after Diablo that I love so much that just sampled Diablo. Like I love Diablo. I don't know, something about it.
So you haven't played Diablo 3, which.
I did a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. Apparently, they did a bunch of patches.
Yeah, the new patches I heard are really good, and I want to play them. My dad even bought me the game. He bought me Diablo 3.
Really?
He bought it for me and was like, "You should play this." And I'm like, "Dad, I can't get addicted to another game. Like, you're
I'm an adult now."
I'm also. That's when I started making music, is when Diablo 3 came out, and I was like, well, when did Diablo 3 come out? It was like 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, "Yeah, Dad, I can't get another game going on because I don't know. I want to focus on this music for a while." And then he was like, "All right, fine, I get it,
So your dad still kind of keep up with stuff?
He does kind of. He's he's getting older, obviously, but I don't think he plays like he used to. But when I was a kid, he would play every game with me. And I love that. I think that's an important thing. You guys
connected over gaming.
Oh, yeah. Like, we connected on a lot of things, but when it was mainly gaming. Gaming was kind of like our thing. Other than that, we didn't really hang out, talk too much. But when it came to games, it was like, "Hey, I got this game for you. Let's play it." And he had his own copy of Diablo 2, and I had my own copy. And we played. We did all the quests together and stuff. And that was a cool thing for me. Like, that was a very big, important time in my life. He was so stoked that I love gaming that he bought me one of the Voodoo 5 cards, the GFX Voodoo 5 cards.
I remember Voodoo was the shit.
He bought me one of those and was like, "This is for you, play Quake 3," and bought me Quake 3. And I was just like, fuck yeah, like, yes, hell yeah, And so that was a cool thing, and, I always remember that for the rest of my life.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, I connected a little bit with my dad, as I mentioned before, but he definitely didn't play games. You're the second person that's talked about having like a big part of the relationship is gaming with their dad. Actually, I had a guy on who was a pilot for Frontier Airlines, and him and his dad got way into Arma. Have you heard of Arma? It's like a military simulator, and they play with like actual military vets.
Which would make sense why he's probably a pilot.
Yes, he's more into like hardcore simulation. He plays dogfighting military aircraft simulators. He does flight simulator, does Arma. He does like PUBG, some of the more arcadey. He said he tried Fortnite, but anyway, him and his dad. It was actually Battlefield, the newer.
Oh yeah.
Not 5. I think Battlefield 4.
4 was a big one.
And his dad got like, I don't want to. Sorry, Mike, if I misquote this. Some sort of terminal illness, and him and his brother, his uncle, and his dad and some cousins every Friday night would land together or play online together with his dad until his dad passed away. That was like their routine during like the end of his life. Dang. It was actually really emotional talking to him about it.
I would say that's probably like a rough thing.
Yeah. But like everyone has some sort of dad issues, and I'm kind of jealous. Like, that's cool that you and your dad could.
You say dad issues. I was dad issues.
Everybody has some dad issues, but
it wasn't issues. I mean, he was a great guy. Like,
but I just mean it's cool that you guys
we connected.
Have this thing that you connected over. Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. That was like it was our thing, that we had, and again, like I said, I'll remember that for the rest of my life. Like, we will always have this thing where we connected over games, that was that really stood out to me.
And you could say since because of the Mac being a Mac developer, introducing you to Doom, it's probably why you ended up getting into music later.
Oh yeah, no,
definitely.
Listening to the Doom soundtrack, even those MIDI files.
Yeah.
And there was, I mean, you listen to the Doom soundtrack and it's Alice in Chains, Pantera. It's just a MIDI version of them. I was like, man, this is heavy and dark. I love it. And so that was a huge thing for me. And I named myself after. Excuse me. I named myself after Durandal, Marathon Durandal, which was the game that we played together. It meant a lot to me,
Does your dad listen to music?
Yeah, no, he supports it a lot. I mean,
Sweet.
He's awesome. He loves it. So I remember I sent him my Necromancer tune, which is the Diablo samples. He's like, this is cool. He's like, it's not really my style. He's still he's very LDS still.
Yeah.
But he accepts me and my lifestyle and all that, and he's really good about all that. And but he when he listens to it, he's like, oh yeah, I can appreciate
That's cool.
the samples, and I can appreciate you did a Doom thing, because I've done a Doom song before. It wasn't very good. It was an old one. But the Diablo one, he was all stoked on that, so that was always really cool.
That's badass. All right, so we went after PS1. Did you go to PS2? Well, obviously, 64 is a similar time to the PS1.
Actually,
did they overlap?
The PS2 became, I think it was before the 64, because 64 is 64-bit, and the PS2 was still, I think, 32-bit. I think that was what the whole point was 64-bit. 32-bit.
I think PS1 was 32-bit.
Oh, is PS2 30?
I think PS2
64?
is 128. Actually.
Is it? Man, I could be completely wrong.
I could be wrong.
I could be.
Jamie's gone.
Google.
My memory is I went PS1 and 64.
D, do you need a drink, dude?
Yes.
Just put your glass in here.
Scotch.
Make sure it's on the
Tastes
camera.
so good going down the... What's that Will Ferrell... There's a movie.
Scotch.
Yeah.
Get into my belly.
Get into my belly.
Yes.
So, do you remember PS1 and 64 were sort of analogous, right?
They were about the same time, though.
I think they were at the same time.
Yeah.
And PS1 was 32-bit, 64, 64.
But Nintendo's always been ahead of its time. Nintendo, whether it's... Well, it actually might not be graphically, but where it comes creatively, Nintendo's always been ahead of its time. They have the Power Glove, and the pad that you ran on.
Power Glove.
Yeah, I mean, they were the first to do cool new shit like that. No one, and the Duck Hunt gun, for original Nintendo. No one has ever done that. They're
Remotes.
the Wii. And
the Wii was a big deal.
Yeah, that was a huge thing.
Then again, PS2
But
also had iToy.
It was never a great graphical game. It was just really creative, amazing, and that was really cool to me. But,
yeah, I can't remember. I remember having the PS1 and the 64 at the same time, and PS2 being a little bit later, but I could have gotten them not necessarily during launch. I definitely played way more PS1 than the 64, but we already kind of touched on a little bit before the podcast. We touched on GoldenEye. Mm-hmm. We talked about Doom 64, which some people, that same documentary I was talking about, some people say the PS1 version of Doom is really good for certain reasons. Some people like the 64 versions. But I want to talk about Conker's Bad Fur Day, because that's one that I had and got taken away.
Which is unfortunate, because it's a very rare, awesome game.
Yeah.
Conker's Bad Fur Day actually didn't get till recently. I didn't get it when I...
You were younger?
Yeah, and I actually didn't get a 64 till I was 19 or 20. I think I was 20, 21, actually. A dude, when I was selling weed, yes, I did that a long time ago.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. Traded a Nintendo 64 to me for a bag of weed, and I was so hyped on it. I was so stoked. Yeah, let's do this, And so I didn't get Conker's Bad Fur Day until just
later.
A year ago.
Oh, okay.
About that.
Have you played through it?
Yeah, but I haven't played the entire thing. It's time. As you get older, you have less time.
Yes, it's true.
Which totally sucks.
It blows my mind that game ever got produced and released.
Oh,
How?
So awesome. It was totally fucked up. It was obscure or obscene, I guess I should say. It was for a 64 game. Kids probably don't need to play it until a little bit
don't
older.
need to play it. But it looks like a kid game.
But I'm the kid that played Doom at like 12. You know, I have no room to talk. But I still think there was things about it, you know, that was like really weird. You know, even playing as an adult, I'm like, that's funny.
Wait a minute.
That's kind of weird. You know,
that was a little weird. But that game. It blows my mind that came out on a Nintendo console, because Nintendo has always been the family-friendly console. As we mentioned before, the Mortal Kombat Nintendo on Super Nintendo and had no blood. And it was always kind of like toned things back. And then Conker's Bad Fur Day comes out, and it's this weird. It looks like a little kid game.
Yeah.
But
it's Rareware, which was like Donkey Kong.
Yes.
You know, which is a kid's game.
I don't know how they got that game approved.
I don't know.
I don't know. Someone needs to do a documentary on that game.
But did you play Conker Live and Reloaded?
I didn't even know there was another Conker.
Oh,
it's a 360 game, right?
No, it's the original Xbox, which is right here. Conker Live and
Grab
Reloaded.
this bad guy.
Which is...
Oh, I have seen this.
That game is more fucked up than...
Really?
Oh, yeah. That one is, like, ridiculous. Which is... I mean, I didn't actually learn about Conker Live and Reloaded until my buddy showed me. And was like, you have to check out this game. You know, we were huge Halo fans at the time for, you know, original Xbox. And he shows me that game. I'm like, this is fucked up. This is amazing.
Yeah, I did actually remember seeing this cover art. Warning, this game is not for anyone under age 17.
Yeah, they make it very clear, like, you probably shouldn't.
I love how it says HD TV 480p.
Yeah,
480p was the HD back in the day. This actually looks really awesome.
It's really fun. There's, like, you can drive around your cars, you can run and do, like, not first-person shooter, but, like, you know, like a third-person shooter? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it looks third-person. It looks pretty bloody too. There's some.
Oh yeah, it's a great game. We've done some at game night. We've done a couple.
You've done a Conker.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't ever like the official game, but it was like, hey, let's play some games tonight, and Conker's gonna be one of them.
I wanted to bring up. So I don't know on Xbox. So Condemned 1 and 2.
Don't get me started on Condemned.
You like Condemned? Yes.
Yeah, that's my favorite game for the 360. The 360.
Thank you.
Seriously, I'm so mad they don't make another one. Like it infuriates me that they will not make another game. There's no. It's the best. That and Dead Space. Dead Space.
Dead Space.
Dead Space was like the sci-fi version of Condemned for me, and I was like, okay, cool. They're gonna make more games. I'll just have to play Dead Space for a while. Cool. I'll put up with it. No, they never came out with more Condemned. But Condemned was the perfect game, in my opinion, like for 360.
I do remember, so Condemned 1, I never played Condemned 2, but Condemned 1 was an early 360 title when there wasn't like a ton of games.
Yeah.
And I remember being, okay, this is a new generation, the graphics were awesome, but like the detective
But the storyline, and it was so perfect. Like, it was just, like the idea of it was so cool to me.
Yep.
Like, you're like this... You're in this weird rundown city, like you don't know what's going on. There's like this devil falling, like it's so cool how it all plays out. Like the storyline is just so cool to me.
Have you ever seen a movie with Eric Bana? I forget what it's called. It's based on a true story. He's a detective in New York that was like a detective for a bunch of like satanic sort of paranormal occurrences and got involved with like a priest. I read when Condemned came out that they took influence from this. That movie hadn't come out yet.
Really?
But it's based on like a real guy in New York that claims to have done detective work for some like paranormal shit.
What the hell is it
they
called?
both took the movie and both Condemned took like inspiration from the alleged things that he claimed that happened. I can't remember the movie's called. It's with Eric Bana.
Who's Eric Bana?
Eric Bana, he's in Troy. He's not Brad Pitt. He's the other guy that Brad Pitt fights.
He's not Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
He's like
everyone here is Brad Pitt.
Fraternal twin.
He's like the main dude in Troy, their best word. Yeah, Brad Pitt calls out and they fight.
Yeah, Troy in here somewhere too in the movie. These are all the movies at the bottom.
Yeah, the movie. Anyway, I saw Condemned. Like, of course you like Condemned because it's that. And Dead Space. I mean, Dead Space is a little bit more popular and well known than Condemned. But do you know the story behind how Dead Space got pitched?
Yeah, and so I was watching that dude's like, what was it? He did like a little interview on it where how it was like his baby, and it's
you probably watched the same thing on YouTube.
I think we probably watched the same one.
They created like a demo version. They pitched it. It was his baby. They gave him anyway. They put all this time and money into this demo. They didn't know if anything was going to happen with it, but he wanted to make the scariest game ever.
That is definitely one of the scariest games, I think. That and Doom, Yeah,
Dead Space. I remember. I think it's Dead Space 1. I get Dead Space 1 and 2 a little mixed up, but I think it's in Dead Space 1. Early into the campaign, you see like a flying. You're outside and if someone's in the office and a flying demon comes in and almost like alien latches on to a person, sucks them, sucks their brains out, then runs away into a vent.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of do you watch the movie Event Horizon?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and Funk Mom sampled one of our...
Okay, I thought you might like that. That movie is classic among horror. I had seen that movie before I played Dead Space. And Event Horizon was one of the few movies that I like dark and scary things, but by the time the movie ended, I was like, I wish I wouldn't have watched that. Because now I'm like really freaked out. Like so hell and demons was always kind of like, once I got older, I wasn't super religious. I'm like, it's fun to think about hell and demons, but it's not real. It's like mythology. But Event Horizon's twist was, though there's a hell out there, it's just like through a black hole.
Yeah, it's in space.
It's in space.
It's not here. It's somewhere else.
It could be aliens, but they're actually hell, and they come back. And
that's what I love about Doom, because it was on Mars.
Yes,
which is like a red planet, which is like looks like hell.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I remember thinking, Event Horizon was there's a scene in Event Horizon. Maybe I'm pretty sure there's like a dude. He's hanging and he's filleted open. Mm-hmm. And I just remember that imagery. I couldn't.
Well, fucked me up. So I didn't actually watch Event Horizon until I was older, but and I watched Silence of the Lambs when I was a kid, and he was filleted.
That's another one.
Like,
yeah.
Oh my god! As a kid, like, holy shit! Like, that's kind of cool, but
Silence
also fucked up. Like you kind of have to like. At least I got some boundaries. It's cool, but it's kind of fucked up.
Is Condemned 2 connected to the first one story-wise?
Yeah, okay. Totally. And also, it runs on the same engine as Fear. So, Condemned 1, I think, if I remember correctly, and I could be completely wrong, I think Condemned 1, which is, it's on its own engine. Odin. And then Condemned 2 runs on the Fear engine, which is an amazing game if you played Fear.
Fear 1 is a cult classic as well for horror.
Totally.
FPS.
Yeah.
Alma.
Oh, yeah.
Scary Alma. I tried to get into Fear later, but I didn't. I only played Fear 1. There's like Fear 4 or something on Steam that I downloaded. It was like $5.
More Fears? I thought they stopped after.
And it's not
3.
Fear 4, it's Fear some tagline.
Sure.
Right? I don't remember what it was.
Like all the Resident Evils.
Kind of like, have you played the Resident Evil 2 remake?
No, but I want to. Two directors.
That's right up your alley.
I know, Resident Evil Director's Cut. Let me tell you a little story. So I wasn't allowed to have that shit when I was a kid, but when it came out, the Resident Evil Director's Cut was like, my friend go, hey, take this home and play it. And I played it. I was so scared, as a kid, like, things jumping out. I was so freaked out. It was so. I loved it though. I loved all of that. So I kind of really, really want to play the remake of it.
The remake's good. Did you play Resident Evil 2 on PS1? Do you remember much of it?
No, I don't think so.
So the remake's good. Come here.
Let's go. Come on.
The remake's good. Other than it got a little too scary. Like.
Too scary?
Yeah, scary games get to a point where it's all, I'm playing games to unwind after work. Do I really want to have a panic attack playing Resident Evil 2 Remake, or should I play something a little less scary? Because in Resident Evil 2, you get, I don't want to spoil too much of it, but you get partway through the game, and they introduce an enemy.
Hey, come on.
They introduce an enemy who's a permanent enemy, and you can't kill him, and he stalks you. I don't want to say too much more because you haven't played it. I don't want to ruin it. But there's an enemy in the game, kind of like Nemesis, if you played Nemesis, where he follows you the whole game. You can't kill him. And the way they programmed him in Resident Evil 2, and on the original PS version, they would just sort of like trick you and he would appear and spawn. In Resident Evil 2 Remake, they actually have a dumbed down version of the entire game. This all takes place in a police station, essentially.
Which is like the original Resident Evil.
Like the original one. And he's actually walking around looking for you, even when he's way off screen. Instead of like just trying to trick you, they have an AI that's constantly, nonstop looking for you. And if you make any noises or if you do anything wrong, he will find where you're at. Then you have to ditch him. So like you have to like play this roundabout game where you're trying to get an item, but you hear him coming, so you can't stay in the room. So then you go to lead him off, ditch him, come all the way around, try to get the item before he figures out where you are again. And the rest of the game, the entire game, from a little bit halfway till the end, there is an invincible, terrifying man who can... They introduce him, he breaks through a wall, grabs a dude's head from behind, and crushes his head, and his brains explode everywhere. That's how he's introduced. And then he's chasing you the rest of the game. And I beat it on PS2, PS1, because it wasn't as scary. It's an older game. But the remake, if you have headphones on, they do like that, what's like the EAS mock surround sound, where it's just regular stereo headphones, but they sort of make it sound like things are coming... ASMR, right? I think that's what it's called. ASMR recordings, binaural recordings. Anyway, they'll make it... You have headphones on, and it will sound like someone's coming. You'll see the footsteps behind you. It's too much for me. You might have a stronger stomach than me.
I'm going to say, like, there's not a lot of games that will actually freak me out. Like, they'll freak me out, but there's not ones that, like... I feel like that can actually make me say, I don't want to play that again. Has
there ever been a game that freaked you out too much? Not really?
I don't think so. Because I've always looked at games like, this is just a simulation. Reality is more fucked up than...
It can... Yeah, well, yeah.
Honestly, reality is way more fucked up than any game I've ever played. So, any game I ever played, it's like... big fucking deal. Whatever.
What do you think is the scariest game you've ever played?
I don't know. Condemned is up there, and Dead Space.
Dead Space.
Dead Space. But I go for... more lines on like what game is the most messed up game I can play. You know, like I haven't actually. I don't know. There's probably games that would, I guess, scare me. But I think that when it comes to, I don't know. I haven't played a lot of those. Fear is a good one too, though. Fear 2.
Really scary.
Fear 2, I think, is probably a pretty good scary and messed up game.
Do you ever play a game on Genesis called Splatterhouse?
I've heard of that one.
That's right.
I've heard of that.
Right up your...
And I keep thinking I want to get it. Like, I should probably get something like...
They made a Xbox, either Xbox One or 360
I'm going to say, there was got to be a different version of it.
It kind of sucked. The Genesis had 3 Splatterhouses, and I don't remember which one I played. I want to say it was 3. The concept is, at least in the one that I played, is your wife gets kidnapped by demons into this, like, demon tower, and you get possessed by this white mask. And the white mask talks to you, but it latches onto your face. You can't get off, but it makes like you sell your soul to this mask in order to save your wife. Well, the very first level, the boss, you get to the boss, and it's like this demon that eats people, and it rips your wife in half and like drinks her blood. And then you kill the boss. So the rest of the game, you're just trying to get revenge on the demons. And the more you get sucked into revenge, the more the mask possesses you.
Hold on. Splatterhouse.
Yeah, this is... I think you would definitely... I mean,
I'm saving
it's a Genesis game. It's not...
For later, you know, I just want to... I'm saving these games. Just this is nice. And actually, what we could do, again, play the modded Xbox. I mean, go through this shit later, you know. I kind of want to do that.
Yeah, but I think it's right up your alley. That opening level, watching like your wife get ripped in half and eaten, and there's all these other body parts. For a Genesis game, and as a kid, I remember that we were really like, what? And then it's built in like you climb a tower, and the higher you go the tower, the deeper into like the demon realm.
It's kind of like, it sounds kind of like Nosferatu. From,
yes.
The SNES.
Yes.
Yeah, where you kind of like go through all like the whole levels of everything, and you're trying to save your girlfriend or whatever, and then like a vampire who's
There's also another one on SNES called Magic Sword, which is a similar.
Magic Sword.
You climb a giant tower and kill demons every level, and you're trying to save like a princess. So, yeah, they've used that. But in Splatterhouse, the thing that freaked me out is in between each level, there's a cutscene. As you climb the stairs to the next level, you have this back and forth between you and the mask that you're wearing. Mm-hmm. And the mask is not really your friend. it's like trying to convince you to dive deeper into more anger and revenge because it can suck more power out of the darkness in your soul. And so as you get farther into the game, you succumb to the possession of the mask, and you lose yourself trying to get revenge on your wife who's already dead. And basically, spoiler alert, by the time you beat the game, you kill all the demons, and then you're like possessed, and you go to hell, and your soul is doomed, and like, nothing's resolved.
There's multiple splatterhouses though.
There is multiple.
There's like
this is
three or
just the
four
one I
of them
played.
I think I've heard.
I don't know.
So.
I can't remember if it was 1, 2, or I know there's 3 splatterhouses. I don't remember which one I played. It might have been 3, might have been 2, might have been 1. But just aesthetically, if you like darkness and demons and blood and guts, that's your game.
It's weird that a mask would tell you to do something and convince you, like, it's a mask. That's what masks are.
Yeah. Have you seen The Mask with Jim Carrey?
Yeah.
Don't we all wear masks, metaphorically speaking?
Exactly.
Yeah, that game. Here, give me. We'll have one more sip.
Oh, yeah,
we're getting pretty far. So that brings us to.
We don't have to go through all these, just so you know. We can just do whatever you want to do.
And we can also do multiple episodes. I try to stop around 360, just because I want to bring someone on again later.
Sure.
And we can talk about recent games that you're playing. I know we could talk forever about Halo. You were way into Halo. Everybody talks about Halo, though.
Yeah, that was my thing for.
So the only thing I want to suck out of you out of Halo, just because everyone talks about it, is favorite weapon, favorite map, multiplayer.
That's a good question. Okay, so definitely Halo 2, Ascension. Ascension was amazing. Sniper shotgun.
Yep.
But then also they remade it. Didn't they? Well, did they? No, I don't think they remade Ascension, but they did on Halo 2. What was the map? That had like 3. It was 3 levels. It was suspended in the middle. What was it? It's been so long since I played. But they remade that one, I think.
On the Master Chief Collection?
No, I think they remade it on like Halo 4 or ODST. I can't remember.
There's a lot of Halos now.
No, there's a lot of
Halos.
Bungie, Marathon, and all that. They sold the Halo franchise to Microsoft,
and now
then they took over it, and it's just not as good. It's not.
I tried Halo 4.
It's good, but it's not like that good.
Have you played Halo 5? I haven't played the newest one. Man, Halo 4 was like.
I have it. It was funny as I have it. My buddy who sold me gave me my Funkmod. He gave me an Xbox with Doom because he knew I loved Doom so much. He's like, you can have my old 360 or my old Xbox One, and then he gave me Doom and Halo 5, I believe, and I still haven't even played it yet. So that's something I need to do.
I heard I don't know. I fell off after Halo 2 and ODST. I think ODST was the last one I played. Mm-hmm. I didn't really, or not ODST, Reach. Halo Reach.
Reach was actually good. Sorry, yeah, Reach. Yeah. Reach is probably one of my favorites.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best.
2 and 3. Yeah. Like, those are my top ones.
Halo 1, I played the most multiplayer. I liked Hang 'em High's pistols. Because in the Halo 1, the pistol was freaking retarded. And it just ended up being pistol battles most of the time.
But if you're playing... So, what was it? Where you had no shields, and it was just headshots only would, like, first kill you.
You could...
That was the best. It was... I forgot what the game was called. But that was one of the best games.
We did a lot of Sidewinder with rockets only.
Ooh, yeah, rockets only. Fun. Rockets only because you really have to time that shit.
Yes.
It's like, all right, so this guy's running here. Maybe I don't know if he's gonna turn. I'm gonna fire.
Just chaos. Yeah, everyone's blowing up.
Everyone was shooting missiles. It was fun.
Had a lot of good times with Halo. I wanted. South Park: The Stick of Truth.
You know what's funny about Stick of Truth? Okay, I played it a lot, and I never beat it.
You never beat it?
I never beat it because I got distracted with like life and shit. But
dude, the ending
South Park
dungeon to that game.
Yeah, I'm sure it's great. And I'm sure it's
oh my gosh,
dark
it's like
and
Conkers.
Awesome.
I couldn't believe that it was.
No, I know. I've heard things about it, and I know, and I still haven't like actually done it because I don't know. I just got so busy, and music comes up, life comes up, and then I totally forgot about Stick of Truth. I'll be honest, I forgot.
Dude, you need to go back and play. I don't want to spoil it for you, man. But the final like sort of dungeon area of that game. Have you heard about it?
I've heard a couple things.
You climb up a dude's asshole. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I've heard
and it gets The deeper you go, the crazier.
Deeper into the ass you go.
And like I just remember, like after crawling through a web of dried cum and finding like.
Well, I mean that sounds exactly like the creator of the South Park.
I was just like, I can't believe this turned into a video game.
Yeah.
And that people, but I thought it was hilarious. I didn't play the newer one, which was what was the newer one called? They came out with the second South Park RPG. I bought it for Switch, but the Switch version ran really clunky and like the loading times were long. What's it called? Sacred Butthole or something?
Fractured Butthole.
Fractured Butthole. Yes. Yeah.
Hey D, I have a question for you.
Yo.
Can you let? Oh no.
Yeah.
He's doing the thing. Sorry, I don't want to I mean, I could get up and do it, but then it'd be awkward, and Cade would sit here by himself and be weird. Thank you.
I got it pretty dialed in.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, you got the 32X later. What is this Zodiac's Revenge? Or Zodac's Revenge?
What is it?
Zoda's Revenge?
Zoda's Revenge.
I've never heard of this.
Oh, so I bought this from a
It's
friend just recently, and so
sticking out to
Sorry,
me.
I haven't played it yet.
Nintendo? It's an NES game.
He had it in complete in box, and I'm like, I'll get it, and so I still haven't actually played it. Again, time is everything.
I've never heard of this. It looks like a top-down RPG, like Zelda?
Yeah, that's what he was saying. It was very like Zelda-like, I guess. I think. I don't know. I haven't played it, but he was like selling all these games complete because he's a collector, and he was like, "Oh, I'm getting rid of my collection. You should buy some." And I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna buy some."
Yeah, this is crazy. You have, you had actually some really Secret of Mana is a classic game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's Nosferatu. We were just barely talking about.
Yeah, that one is a really, really good game. The music, if I could say anything about Secret of Mana, it's gonna be the music. The soundtrack is awesome.
Oh, you have Primal Rage on this SNES.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and Turtles in Time.
Oh, Turtles in Time.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah. So, I don't think you ever met my friend Craig. Craig.
I don't know if I've met Craig.
He doesn't come out anymore. We always used to drink with him, and then we play video games, and he actually ended up giving me a lot of these games. He was just like, "You can have them," and he gave me like a ton of games. And I mean, I love Craig, like one of my best friends in the world. And so when he gave me all the games, I was like, "Are you serious? Like, are you sure you want to give me these games?" He's like, "Yeah, you can just have them. Like, it's fine." And so he gave me like Turtles in Time. He gave me a bunch of Nintendo 64 games, like all these games, and yeah, it was awesome to like add that to the collection when he was.
I mean, this is like the collection is huge. We could do a second episode just on what we haven't talked about yet. Like you have a pretty solid PS2 collection. We have all your 360, your Xbox collection, and then I had the idea when I first came up with the podcast, like, oh, we could go through someone's life and talk, especially artists. I was most interested in people who do music, anyone who's creative, like what games influenced you growing up. But then if you really think about it, it's what games and movies and music.
Yeah.
Because any artist that's produced,
I could talk
all
music.
three of
I could
those.
talk music.
We could go balls deep into the music world.
Definitely.
And so
I could also talk about cartoons and
you got these cartoons.
Like I fucking love cartoons, especially, and just TV shows. Adult Swim.
Army of Darkness.
Oh yeah,
That's a cult classic. That
Evil Dead. I mean that.
Yeah.
When you were talking earlier, you were talking about the artwork where was looking down the stairwell. And
your EP that had
that EP was 5 songs. It was all sampled from my favorite horror movies, and Evil Dead 2 was one of them.
Oh.
So Army of Darkness obviously is like the precursor. What is
the third
prequel?
Army of Darkness was actually the first one that I watched, and it was like this horror comedy.
Yeah, exactly. And, which comedy is my favorite. I will talk about comedy forever. That could, again, be another episode if you want to do that.
Yeah.
Comedy is one of my favorites, and horror. Like those two go together, like peanut butter and jelly type thing. Like no, people don't realize it, but horror and comedy are just like they go hand in hand because you can't have one with the other. Like everyone who's a good comedian is a dark. They're like the darkest person in the world. Like they've seen some shit.
Comedians always say comedians are fucked up. That's why they're funny.
No, exactly. And they have a different view on the world. and I can talk comedy and horror for a long time.
There's I would say one of the funniest horror movies I've seen recently that really I thought was fresh to me was Cabin in the Woods. Have you seen Cabin in the Woods?
Yes, Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the Woods. When it first started, I didn't know anything about it other than my brother was like, "Just watch this."
Everyone was like, "Oh, it's stupid," and then I'm
starts
looking
out
at
like cliche.
"Wait, no, it's not. It's not stupid. It's just it's supposed to be stupid. It's like the whole point of it."
I didn't pick
Cabin
it up.
in the Woods was almost like Evil Dead 2 because it was or Evil Dead
because it is. That's the point of Evil Dead.
Exactly.
Yeah. I was too dumb to pick that up. So when the movie first started, I remember thinking, "This is the most cliche horror movie I've ever seen." I didn't pick up that it's supposed to be cliche until whatever, I can't remember, the pretty boy tries to jump his motorcycle over the gap and hits the force field, and it's so ridiculous. Something about that clicked. I was like, this is satire.
Yeah.
That's what's going on here. And then the whole movie changed for me.
Yeah. But once you realize that, then that's when it gets good. You know?
Yes.
You're like, okay, this is funny. And then now I realize, I get it. Yeah.
If you haven't seen Cabin in the Woods, the less you know, the better going into it. Mm-hmm. But there's a scene when they get to an underground facility and they actually let everything loose.
Yeah, all the things out.
And thing goes crazy. And there's... whatever. If you see, it's old movies. When the unicorn gets out, it starts killing people.
Yeah, come on.
I was like, yes.
Yeah, but yeah,
this is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That movie's so
Cameron
good.
was good.
And the pothead was right the whole time.
Well, most potheads. I mean, I don't say most potheads. There's a good select amount of potheads that kind of know what's going on. You have your friends that only smoke weed. And they got a bad feeling about something. You're like, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with the pothead. Like,
you're gonna go with the pothead. Yeah,
I'm gonna hang out with that guy because that person knows kind of, what's up.
Yeah, the problem with pot though is it can make you paranoid.
True. I'd rather be
safer than sorry.
In a shitty situation, in a scary situation, whatever. I'd rather be more paranoid than not.
Because better chance for survival.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm that guy where it's like I gotta survive.
If you could. What's some of your favorite horror movies? Because I don't know a ton of horror movies. What could you recommend that maybe I haven't seen?
Jeez. Also, weird question to ask because there's so many. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when you say your favorite inspiration for stuff. Horror movies. I like zombie movies. I like super intense scare movies. What was it? The guys who made Annabelle, the one before that, how was it? Okay. Anyway,
too many good ones.
Yeah, but I also really like old school, like Exorcist. That was probably one of my favorite old scare movies. Like just old school because it's more raw. Like it's just the effects on them are
no CGI,
and it's like. You will see that, and you're like, it's more like in your face,
more jarring.
Like, oh my god! Wow, and it's CGI. You can clearly see it. CGI.
Yeah.
You see it, and you're like, well.
I agree. Practical effects lend themselves better for horror movies.
Yeah.
I never got to see Exorcist. Again, back to the LDS thing. My dad.
I didn't either until I was older, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw it later. My dad told me he scared me as a little kid that if you watch demonic movies, you open yourself up to having demonic visitation, so I was scared of that shit. And then later, I haven't seen Exorcist, but I ended up watching some other scary movies. And I'm like, oh, I'm fine. I haven't seen any demons. But Exorcist, I have heard about the scene where she sticks the cross in her vagina, like the famous. I've heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty intense.
It's intense, but it's the point of the movie. The movie is supposed to make you feel that way. That's what I love about those old horror movies because it's like. It's supposed to make you feel that way, like it's, and you should roll with it, like, I can't explain it. It's meant to make you feel in a certain way, just so you can understand what they're coming from, but also as the person watching it, make sure it's not, obviously not real. It's not like a real thing. It's just. Intense, and it's just kind of makes you feel intense for a while. I don't know. It's
supposed to. From what I haven't seen that movie, but the idea is we're going to put you in an emotional state that you don't really get anywhere else.
Yeah.
Unless you're in actual danger, but you don't want to go put yourself in actual danger in order to experience these emotions.
See, I like that description.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
That's how
it's
I would
kind
put
of like,
it.
let us do this for you.
Yes.
So you don't really need to or whatever, you know. And that's when it comes to scary movies, I'm always looking for something to like really make me uneasy to the point where it's like, well, obviously it's just a movie, but you know, I'm not gonna go do this or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But
so let's finish off with Doom 2016.
Oh God! All right.
First off, I want to talk. I know we've heard about this.
I pre-ordered that thing a year ago. All right, let's just talk about that. Pre-ordered that thing a year ago. Still haven't gotten it, but it's supposed to come out in.
You Doom Eternal. Yeah.
It's supposed to come out in November.
Is it November?
Yeah.
So Doom 2016 is the new Doom reboot.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're talking.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
But you're talking about Doom Eternal.
Yeah. No, my bad.
Doesn't matter.
Scotch. I blame the Scotch. But yes.
Did you like it immediately when you started playing it?
The new Doom?
The new Doom.
Oh fuck yeah! Dude,
really?
That was
it was a couple levels.
It was like Brutal Doom, but upgraded.
Yeah.
It was like Brutal Doom, but you don't get to control all the stuff like you wanted to in Brutal Doom. But it was just so brutal at the same time. But in realistic, like you were so excited about it. Like, and when you get Berserk mode, you rip the guys in half. And you're like, what the hell? Like that was cool. That was a cool thing.
It took me a little bit to understand the gameplay mechanic of when I'm gonna die, because a lot of first-person shooters, when you're low on health, you want to get some distance and hide and take cover.
Yeah.
Doom's the opposite.
No. But that's how Doom has always been. They took the old Doom style and made it into a new version of it. That's why they just rebranded it or remade it into Doom. It was like, we're gonna take old Doom, which was running around killing as much shit as you can without having to look for stuff until everything was dead. And then we're going to make it better. We're going to make it newer. And that was it. It was like, okay, all these guys are here now. I'm going to kill them all. Hopefully I don't die. And then when I'm done, it's all fast-paced. And when I'm done,
I'm going to explore the map.
I'm going to explore and find cool shit.
I liked how they made it. The way they pushed that pace is you get health by meleeing enemies, and you get ammo by chainsawing enemies. And so if you're having a hard time, the way to survive is to actually push the pace.
Yeah, melee and then chainsaw, because you can only use the chainsaw like 3 or 4 times.
You have like the little slot. Yeah.
And that was cool because it was like, here's your saving grace.
Yeah.
You know, you're dying, bust out the chainsaw because that kills everyone pretty much right away.
And the animations.
Oh, dude, the animations, the graphic. It's so amazing. Just so good. I was like, this is, and I have the Xbox version because I'm that guy. You know, I got it from my buddy. And watching on the Xbox, even on the Xbox, I'm like, this is on the this is really good.
You can't believe those graphics. Yeah, on the when I first got it on PC, I had the 1080 Ti, which is a pretty decent card. But there was a lot of games that I couldn't play in 4K and still get a solid 60 frames a second because it was just like a lot. When it comes to PC, it depends on how well the game's optimized. Doom comes out and it has you can run on the OpenGL or Vulkan, which very few people use Vulkan.
Well, that's what I like about id Software. Is they'll like let you choose certain things.
Yes.
You know, like
and I could get that game to run buttery smooth, completely maxed at 4K on a lower end card at the time. Well, at the time it was a decent card. So it's now I have a better card, but I just remember thinking I almost felt gratitude towards ID. It was like, hey, you spent the time that a lot of the other contemporary games coming out, I can't run this well. And your game actually looks better and runs better, and you've optimized it so well.
Well, they're the pioneers of that.
Yeah.
Like, they made the first-person shooter.
Yeah.
Wolfenstein was the first-person shooter. Like, they have been doing that for 30 years. Like,
and it shows. 30? I think Wolfenstein probably came out in 88, right? 90?
I can't remember the exact date for Wolfenstein. D.
JD, pull that shit up.
Come on. Yeah, you failed, man.
Because I remember NES was out, and I saw Wolfenstein at a friend's house that had the PC. That couldn't have been any earlier than 93, 92.
Yeah, it was definitely
yeah. So it's
8. You know.
Yeah,
it was 8 or 7 years old, I think. Yeah. But yeah, no, those guys definitely take advantage of every resource they have when it comes to making a game. Like, they know exactly what they're getting into, especially when they focus on first-person shooters. I mean, they have other games. You know, id Software knows everything about a lot of stuff, but mainly first-person shooters are their thing. And they've done that for years, and I think they've done it very well.
The other thing I wanted to touch on in Doom is, because we're both into music, is the soundtrack. I didn't know who Mick Gordon was at all. Now I know him as, like, he's a very lauded, famous composer.
Well, now, I mean, like, before Doom.
Was Doom the first big one? Because I didn't know who he was before Doom.
I actually didn't really know him either until
Really?
Doom.
Okay. I looked him up, and he's definitely had work prior to Doom.
Yeah, no, I know, but he's... I take it back. So he's done a game for... He's done, like, a soundtrack for... Like, I think it was, like, a PlayStation game, PlayStation 2 game, and it's, like, one of his, like flagship games or flagship songs. It was, like, his thing, you know? I can't remember what it was. It was very, very good. But yeah, but Doom was... I think Doom was, like, his thing, you know?
Man,
he nailed it.
I had never heard anything... And not only was the musical style this weird metal glitch rock hybrid, but the way that they programmed, like, how the music comes in and goes based on the action that's coming in,
that's amazing.
I remember thinking, like, the music would start pumping, and before I saw an enemy, and I would feel my heart rate start to rise.
Yeah, that was the whole point. It was
they're manipulating me into this frenzy, and I know there's going to be killing and ripping and tearing. It was awesome.
Yeah, no, I know. You were playing a game and you're just wandering around like, okay, the guys are gone, I have to deal with all the shit, and then start looking at other things and exploring, and all of a sudden, like, it starts building up. Like, are you kidding me? Come on.
What's going to happen?
Right now? I have to do this right now? Like, come on. Yeah, it was...
Yeah, that soundtrack is awesome. He's doing the second one, the Eternal, right?
Totally.
He has to be.
He has. I don't think there's going to be anybody else that can fill that spot.
To fill that void.
Yeah, that was like the thing for him. That nailed it. Yeah.
All right, to top it off, if you could, up until obviously this point, which is like the 360 point, if you can think of any system, Mac, NES, Super Nintendo, Genesis, like your favorite gaming memory, but not necessarily the game, but maybe the most magical memory you have gaming growing up. Can you think of one? Like a LAN party with friends, time with your dad.
Yeah, I was gonna say like Diablo. Definitely, I think Diablo would be one of them. I don't know. Halo games, like Halo games with my friends. Like,
yeah, that's a big one. LAN parties with homies.
Yeah, I mean, my friend who, you know, he's like one of my best friends. We played Halo all the time. He died. Was like my brother, dude. We played endless games. Like, all we did was play games. Like, we played Xbox Live. Like, Xbox Live first came out, you know. Like, that was the first time Xbox Live came out. We had our headsets.
Yep.
You know, we just played games for days. And, you know, he actually got... His account actually got banned because he was so offensive. It was so funny. We would just talk so much shit. He would be so racist. His account name was The Amazing Racist. You know.
Oh, wow.
You know, it was hilarious. And he made kids cry. And... You know, I'm not saying that you should do that. I'm not advocating that at all. But as you're talking about, like, moments, I would say, to me, I won't ever forget that.
You won't forget this, the insanity.
Just like, getting drunk and sitting on our stupid little... We had, like, little SpongeBob fold-out chairs, and we would just destroy people. We were so good at Halo. We would have so much fun. I think that would be, like, my most passionate... time for gaming, you know, like, I mean, old school gaming is definitely a thing for me. I'll remember the first time I played Mario. I'll remember the first time I played, like, Sonic the Hedgehog. But definitely, like a super memorable moment would be me and my buddy Jason just destroying people with Halo and just...
It's probably good for
shit.
Some shitty, snot-nosed, asshole teenagers that are talking shit to have some adults like come in and like, oh, you think you can talk shit?
I'd say adults. We're like 19.
But maybe
we're like 19 or 20, you know. But
put them in their place a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, you play people online, like Call of Duty kids and all that, fucked your mom, like stupid shit like that. I mean, who else is going to parent these kids? Gonna fucking tell them what's up? Man, you fucking suck.
Yeah.
But
it's probably good in a sort of way. I mean, I obviously know that things can go dark in that world.
I'm not saying to bully. I'm not saying all that shit. But I think that the shit talking when it comes to gaming is a very important thing.
It is a good thing.
It's an important thing for gaming.
Shit talking is important.
You have to shit talk your friends.
You have to shit talk.
You have to shit talk your friends.
You have to.
If you don't, they're not your friends. You can't
That's true.
You can't play a game and be like, yeah, man, fuck you, boo, and then they get all pissed off and leave.
Yeah.
Like, yo, I thought we were friends. You can hang out for a second and try harder. Like, build yourself back up. Beat me, let's do it, whatever, or I'll beat you. You have to have the shit talking. You have to have it.
If people recorded the way me and my brothers talk to each other, we'd probably all be
like brothers. Again, like brothers.
Yeah.
Like, it's like a brotherly thing. Like, you're all homies. You all get together. And even there's, again, girls there or whatever. Earlier we were like, oh, yeah, girls, and you're still there, But I mean, you get girls. I mean, everyone has to shit talk each other. We all need to say, man, it's like comedy. Again, I like comedy. I think in comedy, you can't have a little bit of offensiveness without, like, comedy and friendship. Like, you have to have... You have to get along on all these levels where you have to like talk shit, but you also need to like be funny about it. You need to like enjoy each other's company and understand each other. You have to know where everyone's coming from.
You have to understand where everyone's comfortable, and you have to know. Like,
you can't be super offensive. Like you can't be like a fucking asshole.
Like everyone knows, like, hey, I have my brothers. I can go pretty hardcore offensive, but I know it's not going to offend them. But let's say you and I were talking shit, I might not go that offensive. I don't know where your level's at, right?
Fuck that, no.
You wouldn't do it.
No, we're going offensive. We're going full offensive.
Okay.
The most offensive shit. We're going a full offensive.
But the thing is, when you're talking shit in like sort of a commandeering, friendly sort of way, yes, you're talking shit, but you're actually building bonds with each other. And I don't think some people don't get that. And like I think as a young kid, like I know your friend was an amazing racist, and maybe some whatever. But I think probably for some of those people, at least some of those people, it might have been good to be exposed to some of that shit talking and develop some thick skin. I mean, that's...
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get on off on a tangent, but I think there's a lot of people out there that don't have that thick skin, and a lot of people being offended and shit. I don't like it. You got to understand that people, even online and stuff, aren't actually that serious. Like... Maybe they are. Fuck those guys. Put them aside.
Yeah.
Put those people aside. Screw those guys. You have people that you know, and if you don't know them, they're just like messing with you, trolling you, whatever. Just roll with it. Just go with it. Like that's all you can do.
It is.
Just like roll with the whole, like just all of it. And that's in life. Roll with it.
I think it all comes down to intention and like good faith. Like I can say the same thing. Like we can be playing a game. And I can be like, ha, you fucking suck.
Yeah.
Right? Or I could be like, Steve, you fucking suck. It's different. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, all that attention.
I suck. I gotta get better. Shit.
Yeah.
I gotta beat him and tell him he sucks. Yeah, like, I gotta fucking tell you suck.
Yeah, it's just... that does bother me sometimes. I hope my kids grow up with like a thick skin. And I know people online, a lot of the media outlets for video gaming... lean really, really hard left, and I think there's a place for that. But sometimes it worries, like, man, things get a little too sensitive sometimes because all the shit talking that I was exposed to from my brothers, though, you could even say toxic bullying. Like one time, my brother on vacation, we got wrestling. My brother was like a college wrestler and whatever. He beat the shit out of me all the time, and he gave me these gnarly titty twisters on vacation so bad that I had these giant purple bruises on my tits around my nipples.
You still have them?
And I was kind of chubby, yeah. And I still kind of am chubby. But I remember I had to walk around and everyone, like people would look at me and laugh at me and make fun of me. Like strangers would make fun of me. Like, what happened to your tits, little kid? And I remember like that embarrassed me.
Yeah, no, that's harsh. That's a harsh thing.
But this is what I'm saying.
At the same time, it made me stronger. It made me stronger. It made you a better...
It made me better.
Fuck this old... I don't know this person. I don't care about this guy.
Yes.
Fuck him. Whatever,
I learned to joke with it. I learned to like crack a joke when
be
someone
like, yeah,
said
you want to
something.
suck on them?
Yeah,
like just fuck with them. Like fuck with them back. You have to fuck with people back.
Yes.
You have to. If you
to.
don't, then you're not gonna go anywhere. I'm sorry.
And I think that's a life skill. Of like, look, whether it's a bully online or it's a coworker or it's a bad relationship with a friend or a girl, someone is gonna throw shade at you, and the best way to deal with it is to make a joke out of it and to roll with it.
Yeah.
And I think you learned that from shit talking. You learned that probably from online gaming.
Gaming was a huge thing. Like we just fuck it. It was. I mean, I've played Halo games where people talk shit on me like the entire time. And they're better than me. I was like, oh, all right, this guy's really fucking good or something, you know. And I'm just gonna roll with it. I have nothing to say except for I'm just gonna talk shit back in a like a weird manner where it's like, fuck you, you know, like whatever. Who cares? You know, it's a game. It's a fucking game.
It's just a game.
It goes back to the whole. It's not reality. Like, I mean, again, if we want to get deeper, we don't really know what reality is, but it's not actual reality that we know that we're familiar with. So it's like doesn't matter.
It's not the common reality.
Life itself is the hardest fucking game you could ever play, and it doesn't matter. Like none of this shit matters until you've played the game of life.
Yeah, I like that you brought that up. That is a good way to not necessarily to justify, but your perspective on scary games and scary movies is nothing is more fucked up than real life, and that's a good point because people who create scary movies and scary games, they're drawing either from other media that's scary, but ultimately all media draws from real experiences of real life. And so everything that's coming in these is sort of based on someone's experience somewhere.
The people that don't enjoy, like I've known people that, I don't want to watch this movie or I don't want to like deal with this scary game or whatever. It's like, well, I understand that maybe you've had a hard time, but it's not real life, and you should enjoy it for the simple fact that it's entertainment. You know, it's something to like kind of get you going and like move you a little bit. Like, oh, whoa, what the fuck? You know, it should be something that lets you experience something in the past, maybe, but not to the the same extent. And if it does, fine, cool. But learn to roll with it. Learn to understand that it's. There's going to be that your entire life. No matter what, there's always going to be something that's going to make you feel uneasy, especially in life.
So it's almost like practicing being uneasy.
Yeah, no,
learning
you
how
should
to handle it. Yeah,
yeah, I think you should because how else are you going to handle life? Again, the hardest game of all fucking time.
Have you heard of Marcus Aurelius? He's like a famous Stoic philosopher. He was a Caesar, I think is the correct word for Rome. He was the leader of Rome or Greece. Sorry if I'm getting this wrong. I'm not a history buff. But he has a book called The Stoic Mindset Philosophy, which sort of parallels that, saying his idea was if you want to learn how to be stable and strong in life, whatever your worst fears are, imagine them and go into them and visualize them and live. Like I have a big fear about, for some reason, I took a college class in Utah about the Wasatch Fault and how eventually there's going to be a giant earthquake here.
Yeah.
Got in my mind, started freaking me the fuck out. Now I have kids, I live on the fault, I have a brick house.
It's even scarier.
It's even scarier, and I would like stress out about it.
At the same time, you can't
do anything about it.
Yeah, if it happens, it fucking happens.
It happens.
Like all right, we're gonna get deep for a second. We're a little. Earth is the fucking speck in
a piece of dust.
Yeah,
not
we're
even
nothing.
A piece of dust.
Like we're nothing. So the black hole that they found, whatever, they took pictures of the black hole. It was like, I can't remember. It was like 30 million.
Suck up our whole solar system.
It was like 30 million times the size of the sun. It's something insane. And like you think about that ratio wise, like we're fucking nothing.
We're nothing.
We are nothing compared to that thing out in the universe. Like it blows me away to think about, like, why do we even worry about half the shit we worry about? Yes, we all deal with a lot of hard shit. And again, life is fucking hard. So you might as well just play the long game. Play the long game, live it out, and if you lose, you lose. If you win, you win, whatever. It doesn't matter. At least you fucking worked hard. You know what I mean? Like, you can't I mean, there's people that just give up and they lose right away, but there's people that actually like push through it and they actually, make it towards. They don't give up. They don't rage quit.
Yeah, they don't rage quit.
Don't rage quit. Yeah, don't fucking rage quit. Just
learn from your mistakes. Play another
roll
game.
With it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's multiple things you can do, especially in life. There's multiple games you can play.
See, parents, video games are good for you.
And
for children.
True. I think that's true.
Maybe a little bit. I think my parents were good about...
I think the parents should tell their kids, if they're playing a game, you should probably say, this is a game that, this is how this game is. It's all fiction.
Give them some context.
Yeah, kind of explain it to them before they, just jump into it. Oh, yeah, I'm going to just fucking start going to hell and start, or Grand Theft Auto, where I'm going to, fucking pick up some prostitutes or whatever. Yes. Yeah, it's not like...
We talked about that in a couple podcasts. The news, I remember my parents asking me about Grand Theft Auto when I had it, because there was a news story. You could pick up a prostitute.
Yeah.
You could bang her in the car and get help, kill her, then take her money.
Exactly.
And that was all over the news, and they were like, whoa!
Yeah. I'm just saying, you don't have to do that. It's stupid. You just live your life. Be a normal person. And, I mean, I guess that's normal for some people, living in certain areas, but... I don't know, you don't actually have to do it. It's not like a thing that you're forced to do. You just choose to do it. So, you choose to play a game, cool. There should also be some kind of something that lets you know, maybe you shouldn't do it, whatever. I don't know. Anyway, going off on tangent.
Yeah, we
could do this. We could do this for fucking ever.
Let's wrap this up.
Yes.
Where can people find your music online, and do you have any upcoming shows coming up that you want to promote?
Yeah, me and Funk Mod are going on tour in September, October. Doing East Coast, Midwest. Trying to get more on the West Coast. And then, SoundCloud. I guess.
SoundCloud, Durandal.
This SoundCloud thing.
Just Google Durandal.
Check my SoundCloud. If you Google Durandal, marathon stuff shows up. Because I took the name. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That thing. Durandal music, Durandal dubstep, Durandal bass. All that stuff.
We'll put links to all the stuff in the podcast description for those listening, and then we'll put links into D/Jamie/ our technician's music
/Tripwreck.
Not type.
Tripwreck.
And then Funk Mod is also your other friend.
Yeah, Funk Mod is. I mean, we do a lot of music together. We do a ton of stuff. So, there's a lot of resources out there. I guess you could just look up.
All right, man. Sweet. Thank you very much. Good time. Good drinking. We'll do another one.
Goddamn scotch.
We can talk about more 360.
Talk about games and more whatever.
We could do an episode on music. We could do an episode just on Tool between the two of us, probably.
I think you're right.
And then we could do movies as well. So that's what I'm thinking. I'll do the first guest would all be gaming, but if I bring someone on a second time, which I'm planning on doing, we could do more music and movies. And I think that would be...
I'm a huge movie buff. Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down.
It would be awesome. Because, you also have this giant collection of movies as well.
That's not even... there's still more I haven't added. So.
There's still more.
Yeah, there's still more.
All right, man. Sounds good. We'll see you guys later.
Thank you.
Adios.
Woo, that is a rickety rap, baby. And if you are listening to this part of the podcast, that means you listen to the entirety of the podcast. And as always, every episode, I must thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I give you my prophetic promise that you will be blessed for doing so, but not as much as if you go forth, do your missionary work, share the good news of the Gaming Memories Gospel, like, share, comment, tell your friends about it. There shall be no greater joy found in this life than bringing other lost, wandering souls into the fold of the Gaming Memories Gospel and showing them the truth in the light of the one true video game podcast. The gods will bless you. Now, that being said, if you don't want to do missionary work, what you can do is just sort of hang out, twiddle your thumbs. Definitely don't listen to any other podcasts because they are of the devil. and they will lead you astray, and they will cause doubt and grief to enter your heart. So shut yourself off from all other sources of information and listen only to me. Because next week we have another badass guest. Instead of a bass music producer, we have a fellow marketer, one of my gurus that taught me how to do all the shit online that makes money so that I can actually do this podcast, Josh Moody. The guy is a legitimate online marketing savant, genius. He is as badass as they come. One of the most interesting people I've ever met in my entire life. Luckily, he was in town. I got him to sneak over to the podcast studio, and we went off, and it's going to be a great episode. Look forward to that next week. And until then, follow the commandments, and just don't let yourself doubt. Okay, doubt your doubts before you doubt your faith. This is the truth, baby. Come back next week for the sermon. Love ya. Bye.